Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley with you on this Tuesday, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Hope everybody's morning is off to a great start. We are excited for the show today. Kevin Ingram from Vanderbilt going to join us at 10 a.m. We'll talk some Vandy men's hoops, some Vandy football, some Titans with Kevin Ingram. Excited for that. But Parker, we start the show with what was a disappointing, embarrassing performance from the United States men's national team last night. A 4-1 loss to Belgium, and the Americans out of the World Cup in the round of 16 once again. Same round they've been knocked out of in each of their last 3 World Cups.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling because it was the expectation for the U.S. to make it to this point. Now, it would have been great because they put up such impressive performances against Paraguay, Australia, but it was just the way they looked last night. They were so tight the whole game. They looked like they wetted down their leg for about 85 out of the 90 minutes in regular time. And I wish I was kidding, but I'm being honest.
No, it's true.
It was tough. And Pulisic and Balogun, it just looked like nobody had any heart out there. And that was the most disappointing part of all of it.
Yeah, they got punched in the mouth, which I think makes sense. Listening to it was Stu Holden who was doing the color last night on the broadcast. He talked about a lot of these Belgian players, they've played in the Champions League, and they've played on this Belgian national team that has made some runs deeper in the tournament. So they've been there before. And for a lot of these U.S. guys, I think there was a little bit of newness and a little bit of nervousness with the start of that game. And you saw it early on. You give up the goal where it's just like everybody was just hesitating on the back line. It's like, oh, no, somebody else is going to get it, and ended up being a goal for Belgium to make it 1-0. But I felt like that Tillman goal was going to kind of shake all that away. It's like, all right, we got one. We're right back into it. And we got about 90 seconds to celebrate before Tim Ream just got bodied for the second goal.
I didn't even get time to celebrate the goal.
I celebrated. I gave my wife a high five, and I'm settling back in, and boom, Belgium strikes back and makes it 2-1. And, you know, the U.S. had their moments in this game. I think they did settle in, but you made too many mistakes. The second and third goals are just absolutely inexcusable. Tim Ream, you should be able to stand up and keep that guy from just completely jumping over the top of you. I know he's taller than you, but show a little strength and see if you can get ahead to that ball, or at least not make it completely easy for him to put it right past Matt Freese. And then the third goal, I'm not a huge soccer guy. I don't watch a whole lot of soccer, but I can't imagine a more embarrassing goal that really is the backbreaker for your team, where the goalie just completely whiffs on trying to clear it. And then Tim Ream, if he hadn't moved, it might have hit him and bounced away. Instead, he kind of contorts his body and deflects it into the net. Just horrible all the way around. Belgium ends up scoring in stoppage time, too, to make it 4-1. And one of the more disappointing results that I can remember for the U.S., where there's so much hype going into this game. Everybody, not just U.S. And American analysts, are saying that this team is better than it has been in the past, but you get the same result. In fact, even a worse result than the Netherlands 4 years ago. You lost 3-1 in the round of 16 to the Netherlands. You lose 4-1 to Belgium, and you're going home. And it just feels like a massive missed opportunity for the United States.
Yeah, that third goal, it was kind of like a dagger to the heart, because it was one of those things where you don't have to be a soccer expert, right? You got to, if you're the goalkeeper and you're going to come out that far, just clear the ball.
Yeah,
just clear
that. That's the one thing you have to do.
That is an inexcusable mistake, and you could see it on Pochettino's face after the goal was given up. And at that point, how much time was left? Was there 30 minutes?
Yeah, that happened. I want to say like 65th minute, right around there.
So I'd say the U.S. looked like they were still in it after they scored that first goal. And then they gave up the goal right after that for Belgium to take the 2-1 lead. But after they gave up that third one, I'm like, they're done. And there was still a lot of time left in the game. But the way the U.S. came out, it's like they finally had the expectation that, okay, we can beat a pretty major team from Europe. It's that expectation got to them, and they just choked, which is sports. That happens, but it was just a heartbreaking thing to watch.
No, it looked like the moment was too big for them. And I think you look specifically at the back line and say that they were just outclassed Ream especially. And then Freeze, you're right. Freeze made some plays in this game. I mean, the save early on in the first minute or two, that was huge. That was huge to not let Belgium get that first strike right off the bat. Obviously, they ended up scoring about 8 to 10 minutes later, but he did make some plays. But in that moment, when it's a 1-goal game and you're still in it at that point, all you need is one run to break your way and you're tied again. To have that play is just such a backbreaker, and the U.S. never really recovered. They got their chances. Balogun had the one shot one-on-one with Courtois, the goalie, but,
which feels like an opportunity that you have to capitalize on.
Yeah,
if you're Balogun.
It was a tough angle against one of the best goalkeepers in the world. But yeah, if you're Flo Balogun with everything that's gone on and you get one-on-one with the goalie, that's one that you probably need to slot home and get it back to 1 goal.
Right. It just feels like if you're the best player on the team, and the argument is between Balogun and Pulisic, but if you're the best player, which Balogun at the time is playing like the best player, and you see that everybody else is dead, it's kind of your responsibility to get everybody else going. And an opportunity like that, you got to capitalize on.
I will say there were a few players that were disappointing last night. There were obviously some good performances. Malik Tillman with another great free kick goal, and I'm excited to see what he does down the road. Serginho Dest was absolutely horrible in the first half, and he got benched for Gio Reyna at halftime. But Christian Pulisic, I think, has to be the most disappointing player of all for the U.S. across this entire tournament. He made some plays, especially in the first half against Paraguay, that helped set up some of those early goals. But last night, you needed him to be one of your best players. And he was getting out-physicaled off the ball and then swings his leg into a defender's ankle and basically just limps around the field for 5 minutes until they can get a sub for him. I get it. You got hurt. You sprained your ankle. I was really disappointed in his comments after the game, too, where they asked him, hey, well, how are you feeling? Obviously ankle injury, it's tough. And he goes, yeah, sprained my ankle. Very disappointing, but it'll be okay. I have time to rest now. And I'm like, really?
That doesn't seem like the right thing to say in that moment.
Shouldn't you be more disappointed that you don't have time to rest? Shouldn't you want to get ready for another game in this World Cup? Christian Pulisic has had opportunities in each of the last 2 World Cups to solidify himself as the guy for U.S. soccer, and he hasn't been able to do it. And I'm sure he'll be on the 2030 World Cup team, but I don't think he's going to be a guy that we're all circling for the U.S. in 4 years. I think that there are some other young guys coming up through the pipeline. I believe there's a 16-year-old who's already playing for the Philadelphia Union, and he's going to go to Manchester City when he turns 18. So he'll be on the team in 4 years. There was one other guy that I saw somebody talking about yesterday, but I think Christian Pulisic missed his opportunity to solidify himself as a U.S. soccer legend. If you get to the round of 8, like we all remember Landon Donovan because of what he was able to do in the big moments, whether that was in 2010 in South Africa, where he scored the goal to help the U.S. get out of the group stage. 2002, of course, where he scored against Mexico that got the U.S. into the quarterfinals. Christian Pulisic has had those opportunities the last few years, and he hasn't been able to capitalize. And last night was, I feel like, the nail in the coffin for him. Again, he could play in 2030, but I don't think we're all calling him the U.S.'s best player in 4 years.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I just feel like with the expectation going in on top of, okay, the U.S. really impressed us during the group stage, it was just, it made it that much more disheartening because this was a game that with you getting Balogun back, the expectation was for the U.S. to win. They were favored, right?
Yes, they were favored.
And Belgium, they showed this during the broadcast last night. Belgium, according to the FIFA rankings, was 9 in the world. The U.S. was 17, and they were still favored. So, and plus, with the World Cup being on your home soil, and you're the last host country to be in the field, and coming out like that, it was really tough to watch. That was not the same U.S. team that we watched the previous 4 matches.
Right. I don't want to take anything away from Belgium because they outplayed the U.S. last night. But it's disappointing when you can clearly look at the way the U.S. played and say, yeah, we gave them at least 2 of their goals, if not 3, right? Like that's what's disappointing about it is, yes, Belgium outplayed the U.S. They were the better team last night, but you could have been in that game in the final minutes with a chance to tie it or maybe even win it if you just didn't make stupid, crucial mistakes that end up giving Belgium easy tap-in goals. They got layups on their first 3 goals. All of those were layups, and you can't give those away if you're going to win at that stage of the World Cup. And so disappointing, embarrassing, and the U.S. now you regroup and look ahead to 2030, but it's the same as 4 years ago. Like, everybody thought that the U.S. had taken a step forward this year. Now, step forward doesn't mean that you're ready to play with the powerhouses of France and Spain and Argentina that you would have faced if you did win last night. But a step forward means you see results beyond what you've seen before. This was more of the same. And it's really, really disappointing.
Yeah, I don't know if you can say it was a step forward because they look so much better in the group stage. They look so much better in the round of 32 than previous U.S. teams. But to just come out like that in the round of 16, I don't know. I honestly don't know. But even if the U.S. were to win that game versus Belgium, I don't feel confident whatsoever that they would have beaten Spain.
Yeah.
So it was just like a slow, painful death last night.
Yep.
That's what watching the U.S. was like.
Yep. It was a tough watch pretty much from start to finish. We got 90 seconds to cheer when Malik Tillman had the free kick goal. And outside
couple
of that,
high fives, and that was it.
It was just kind of sitting on the couch in silence for 2 hours. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you want to text or call, our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We got some of your reaction on the text line. Brian says, in many ways, it was like watching the NFL. All hype, and it still sucked. I would say it reminded me of a Virginia Tech football game. They came out to enter Sandman, and that was the highlight of the night. I mean, it was horrible. It was horrible, and disappointing and embarrassing are the words that I'll keep coming back to. Trevor on the text line sends a screenshot. It says, in Germany, a talented 14-year-old earns his club money. In America, his parents pay the club $15,000 a year. That single inversion explains why "we will not" is the most accurate line ever written about U.S. soccer. And that is true. And that's what we've talked about too, is that the culture of the U.S. does not lead to talented athletes going into soccer. First off, it's expensive. And second, it's just not the sport that we prioritize the most. Young guys around America, young boys, they want to grow up and win the Super Bowl. They want to grow up and win the World Series. They want to win the NBA Finals. They don't really dream of winning the World Cup, at least not the majority. And so I agree with Trevor and the text or the tweet that he sent there of like the culture of soccer in the U.S. does lead to us just being a step behind everybody else in the world because most countries put soccer first. We put soccer 5th or 6th.
Right. A lot of other countries have academies, and these kids start from when they're very young. And the unfortunate part is, and it's not just soccer here in the United States for the youth, but youth sports in general are getting more and more expensive.
Yeah.
So that also factors into this as well.
I don't know if you've ever seen the travel baseball clip. I think it's John Christ who does it. And
love John Chris.
It's like
John.
All right, you've signed up for the 16U travel baseball team. Our first tournament is going to be in Miami, Florida. If we win that, we're going to go to San Juan, Puerto Rico for 2 weeks. You will be expected to take off time from work. If you win that, we will go to Mumbai and play for 3 weeks there. It's like it's obviously an exaggeration, but that kind of is the culture of travel sports now, and it does. Soccer is expensive. Like, if you want your kids to go into soccer and actually be competitive and have a chance to go play professionally, it's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars a year.
And some of the lower level, and I mean lower level, is like $5,000. And that's just like, for fun, basically.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah, but no, travel baseball, it's a year-round thing too. It's not just like, oh, in the summer, we're going to take these. No, you sometimes do it in the fall, the spring, and it's a year-round thing. It's crazy.
No, it's definitely insane the way that these youth sports have. The prices are just unreal. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll continue to get to your reaction. The U.S. falling 4-1 to Belgium and their World Cup journey ends. We will continue the conversation there. Again, Kevin Ingram going to join us for the full 10 a.m. hour talking Vandy. We'll even talk some Titans with Kevin because I know he still follows along with the two-tone blue. So we'll talk to Kevin Ingram coming up at 10 a.m. Parker, it is also, we have reached the Mecca, the pinnacle of list season in the NFL. We always refer to July and the end of June as list season because it's just, hey, all of these are the NFL.com and ESPN. They're going to put out these lists of rankings and different think pieces about what the NFL is going to look like in 2026. The pinnacle is ESPN's annual position rankings. They are here.
Yes.
We have two of them to review, including a Titan who makes an appearance in one of these articles. So we'll get to that coming up later this hour. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley with you on your Tuesday morning. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley with you. Still proud to be an American despite the embarrassing performance last night.
And it was embarrassing.
It was embarrassing.
But I'm still proud to be an American.
Yeah.
Wouldn't live anywhere else.
Hey, the U.S. still gold medalists in hockey and basketball.
You know, I put this out on Twitter yesterday, but, you know, after doing some fact checking last night, Belgium doesn't have an SEC, Big Ten, ACC, or Big 12 championship.
That's very true. That's very true. And we should hold that over them forever.
We should. No Waffle Houses over there either.
Yeah, no Waffle House. Despite being known for waffles, they don't get Waffle House. Crazy.
Can we really say they're known for waffles if there's no Waffle House?
Right, the waffles can't be that good if you don't have Waffle Houses.
It's all right. Have fun playing Spain.
Yeah, good luck. Who they scored in stoppage time to beat Portugal. Cristiano Ronaldo announced it was his final World Cup. Not unexpected. It was his 6th, but he is done with World Cup games after yesterday. I don't know if you ever went and saw the satire podcast that I talked about last week that did the U.S. like the LeBron James of soccer and calling Mbappe Boppy and all that.
Is that why Connor kept texting me saying that Pulisic was the LeBron of soccer?
Yeah, maybe. So maybe it was the day you were out. It was Tuesday last week that we talked about this. It's these 3 guys that like acted like they knew nothing about or knew a ton about soccer, but they were like calling Mbappe Boppy and stuff. And today they switched up and we're all wearing like Spain and Germany jerseys, and we're saying like, I can't believe anyone would think the U.S. could win the World Cup. So anyway, I did want to ask you the question, Parker, of like, are you still going to be locked into the rest of the World Cup after this? I feel like I have been good at trying to watch most of the games while they're on, and I don't know. I'll have to kind of see what the matchups look like, but I don't really feel the drive to go sit down and watch soccer anymore now that the U.S. is out.
Yeah, and I feel so stupid because I came in here yesterday saying like, "Oh, I may check out the Premier League.
Yeah, you were like,
I may check out the La Liga." And I'm like, you know, maybe I was a little too quick to jump the gun there. Like Colombia, Switzerland tonight, absolutely not. Now I may tune into a little bit of Argentina. And who do they play again?
They play Egypt tonight. Yeah, Mo Salah, Lionel Messi.
Because that might be Messi's last game. It's kind of like a passing of the torch, right? Ronaldo's done. Neymar's done.
Yeah.
Messi might be done after this. Who knows?
I would doubt that he comes
So
back
I
in 4
might
years.
watch the big games. Like next round, if France and Spain play, like that'll be intriguing. But other than that, I don't really know.
So I think the one game I do want to watch is Norway, England. Like that, I love me some Erling Haaland. And so I think I will be locked in for that game. But the other ones like France, Morocco, I don't know if I'm going to be watching that. I do like Mbappe is good. I think that one probably is going to be all France. Although, I mean, they played Morocco in the semis last year or like 4 years ago. And then it's Spain and Belgium now. I don't know if
hate watch that one.
It reminds me of when I'm watching my team in the playoffs, like last year when the Tigers lost to the Mariners in 15 innings in game 5 of the ALDS and blew it at the end. I don't know how many more innings of baseball I watched the rest of the year, just because it's like, man, I was so excited to keep watching the Tigers. And now it's just disappointing to watch baseball knowing they're not in it. I feel like I feel the same way about the World Cup. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe this is just the morning after being disappointed that the U.S. is out. I do want to watch Norway, England, but I don't know how much I will be prioritizing the World Cup from here on out.
Yeah, and I actually don't think I'd be able to watch the Champions game because it's on July 19th and I'll be traveling that day. So I don't know. I mean, for the big games, like, yeah, I'll probably watch a little bit of Norway, England, because I do like Holland as well.
And Harry Kane's fun to watch too.
Yeah, I wasn't able to watch the game versus Brazil that they played, so I'd want to watch that. I'd want to watch Spain and France, absolutely. But other than that, I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure once it gets to the semifinals and the finals, I'll probably watch those games
because Argentina most likely
right, and there's a lot of stakes in those games, so I'm sure I'll watch it. But yeah, the disappointing result last night is just like tainted soccer for me. Not that I was ever really into soccer, but I was starting to get into it like you. I was like, man, this is actually fun to watch. And now,
man, I bought a shirt on Sunday and I wore that thing yesterday, and oh my gosh, it's crazy. See, I feel like I'm not that I believe in jinxes or anything, but I feel like I'm a soccer jinx because I finally committed to a side of the debate. It's Messi and it's Ronaldo,
Yeah.
right? And I talked to a bunch of my friends who are soccer friends, and they're like, "Oh, you need to be Team Ronaldo," and they were like telling me kind of the differences between the two. So I'm like, you know what? I'll go Team Ronaldo. And then he loses yesterday.
Yeah.
I buy a U.S. soccer shirt. I wear it in studio yesterday, all happy and everything, and they look like crap yesterday.
Well, Dustin from Hopkinsville is actually taking the blame on this one. He says that was the first game that he's watched, and the words that he uses, boy, did they take a dump on national television.
Yeah, we can blame Dustin.
So we're
That
going to
takes
blame
some
Dustin.
heat off of me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Dustin says, me before the U.S. went out in the round of 16. Oh, man, this is awesome. The U.S. is in the World Cup and they're winning. There's a chance we could go all the way. And me after they're eliminated. What's going on this big right now? So I feel like American fans, the disappointment, you're probably going to – I'm going to take a couple days off. I don't know if I'll be watching Argentina and Egypt tonight, and then it's Colombia, Switzerland is the other game
Argentina
tonight.
plays at 11, so it's while we're still on the air.
Okay, maybe I'll put it on.
I mean, and there's only like an hour of the game after we get done.
Right, that is true. So it's not like it's that much commitment for
but
me to watch
there will
that game.
be no watching Colombia and Switzerland tonight.
Yeah,
I do
absolutely
not care.
not.
I do not care.
And tomorrow is the first off day in the World Cup since it began. So won't have to worry about it tomorrow.
Nah.
And then the quarterfinals start on Thursday.
Yeah. So, yeah, I probably will not be watching much outside of the big games.
Yeah. Disappointing last night. It sucked. I mean, it was outside of, again, 90 seconds of that game. It was very, very solemn to watch that performance last night from the U.S. against Belgium, falling 4-1 and eliminated in the round of 16 once again in the World Cup. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Also, the Bruschetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix is coming to the Nashville Superspeedway Saturday, July 18th and Sunday, July 19th. And 1025 The Game has your chance to win tickets to the IndyCar race. Text in the keyword RACE, R-A-C-E, now to 615-737-1025 to enter to win tickets. For more information on the event, visit MusicCityGP.com. We're going to get into some NFL football as we turn the page to real football around here. It is the Mecca, the pinnacle of list season. The top 10 position rankings from execs, coaches, and scouts around the league. Jeremy Fowler puts these together every year. We've got running backs, we've got cornerbacks, and you may be surprised, but there is a Titan mentioned in one of these articles. I'm not saying he's in the top 10, but he is mentioned. We will get into it coming up next, and Kevin Ingram joins us at 10 a.m. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley with you. Today, the Nashville Sounds take on the Charlotte Knights. First pitch is at 6:04 p.m. Catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan. Presented by Twin Peaks, Family Leisure, Maple Street Biscuit Company, and Social Cantina. We've talked soccer. Disappointing game for the U.S. last night against Belgium. 4-1 loss, and their run in the World Cup is over. So now we can turn the page to real football. The NFL. Training camps are less than a month away. Preseason is now less than a month away. A month from last night, the Hall of Fame game. So we are getting close. And
I'll be locked in for that just because it's football.
It's football, right? We've missed it. We've missed it so much. So
when did you start getting the football itch?
February.
That's a good answer.
I'm kidding. Probably like May. After the draft holds you over for a while, but then I think once you get into May, I've started to be like, all right, I'm ready for the games to start now.
See, mine was the day after the national championship in college basketball.
Yeah, that's a good one. I just feel like I get so into the draft that can hold me over probably until
that is true.
Like
that
a week or two after the draft ends, because it's like you can still talk about the picks that were made and now, but May, I think, is probably where I was like, all right, I'm ready for football to come back. We call this stretch of the offseason, some people call it Mount Rushmore season on sports radio. We call it list season because all of the outlets love to put together lists of top 10 here and who's going to be the best here and bold predictions for the NFL season. But I always think the most important lists of the year are these top 10 position rankings that are put together by Jeremy Fowler, but taking votes from executives, coaches, scouts around the league. We always talk about these because I think it does give you a decent idea of how players are viewed by those inside the NFL. We don't know how many Titans are going to be on here. In terms of actually in the top 10, maybe only one with Jeffrey Simmons, but we like to go through them and see where these players stack up and if maybe there are any Titans on the outside looking in. Let's start with the running backs. This list came out yesterday. Again, it is the top 10 that is put together by coaches, executives, and scouts. Who do you think the number one running back is in the league right now, Parker Kelley?
Has to be Jahmyr Gibbs.
It is not.
Not Jahmyr Gibbs?
Jahmyr is number 2.
Oh.
It was a very tight vote.
Okay, so Bijan
Robinson is number 1. Jahmyr Gibbs 2, Saquon Barkley 3.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with those guys being the top 3. Then it's Christian McCaffrey at 4, Jonathan Taylor 5, and our good friend Derrick Henry is number 6.
Good friend Derrick Henry.
He was number 2 last year.
So is it top 10 at each position?
Top Chan is 8, Kenneth Walker 9, Breece Hall is 10.
Not a bad list.
I don't hate it. Some of the honorable mentions, like Josh Jacobs on the outside looking in, he is aging. So yeah, I can see that. Kyron Williams, good running back.
I might have had him a little higher,
but they've been splitting carries with him and Blake Corum. So I kind of get it. Maybe somebody I wouldn't have expected. Honorable mention, Quinshon Judkins from the Browns.
He certainly has the potential to do so. But they kind of have a weird situation at running back up there in Cleveland. Yeah. They also have Dylan Sampson. Who else do they have? Because Quinshon wasn't the primary back to start out the year. It might have been Dylan Sampson just because of injuries.
Yeah,
because Quinshon was coming back from one.
Browns depth chart. Their running backs, Judkins, Dylan Sampson, Rocket Sanders, former South Carolina running back. That's all they have this year.
Last year they had, did they have Ford?
No, they're running. It was the same running. Jerome Ford was on the team, but he only had 24 carries last year.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was Judkins, 230 yards. Man, he averaged 3.6 yards a carry, and that makes him a top 13 running back in the NFL already. It's executives, coaches, and scouts. They know more about it than I do.
He has the talent to do so, absolutely.
The offensive line also was not very good for the Browns last year, as evidenced by them replacing all 5 of them this offseason. So I guess I get that. Also receiving votes does not include Tony Pollard, who had 1,000 yards last year.
That's not a surprise. So that's really not a surprise.
There were 7 others receiving votes. So that would mean that according to this list, Tony Pollard is not a top 20 running back in the NFL. You think that's fair?
He see, I think he's right in the middle.
Well, like in terms of starters.
Yes.
So last year, he finished 13th in rushing
With 1,000.
with 1,082 yards.
Yeah.
Just behind DeAndre Swift, just ahead of Rico Dowdle.
See, Rico Dowdle's an interesting one because I'd like to know what his production level could be if he had more carries.
He had 6 less carries than Tony Pollard last year and 6 less yards.
Tony Pollard's just consistent about getting 1,000.
See, I don't know if I would put him in the top 20, but I just think he's solid. And there's not a lot that's exciting about Tony Pollard, right? Like he's kind of just your average back, and maybe that's why coaches and executives were just like, meh, he doesn't need to be on this list. But yeah, he's behind some of the other guys who receive votes. I'm surprised Chase Brown wasn't higher.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Player. Ashton Genty received votes. Travion Henderson received votes. Travis Etienne and Alvin Kamara. What did Kamara do last year?
Not a lot. If
He
I don't remember.
He was hurt,
and then
right?
they got Etienne in free agency.
Alvin Kamara ran for 471 yards, 3.6 yards per carry, and had 1 touchdown last year. He had less rushing yards than Jackson Dart.
Where's New York Doug?
I mean, it seems like he only had 1. Yeah, where is New York Doug? I guess Kamara, it might have only gotten 1 vote.
That might be name value as well.
Right. It's like you're splitting hairs here. But yeah, Tony Pollard doesn't get a vote. Texter 1880 asked, Kenneth Walker not on the list. He was on there. He's number 9. Number 9.
So where was James Cook again?
7.
He led the league in rushing last year.
Yes.
That's interesting.
He did. Yeah. And had 9 touchdowns. See, you can't go just solely based off stats with running backs. You've got to be able to do the eye test as well. And like Jonathan Taylor was on a tear before Daniel Jones went down, and then teams could really just load the box against him and dare whoever it was, Riley Leonard, to throw the football. So I think you can't go solely based off stats. I think the top 2 are 100%. Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs. And
yeah, no arguing there.
I am a little surprised, like you, that Gibbs wasn't number 1. But those are your top 2. Barkley 3. He was number 1 last year. McCaffrey still being in the top 5. I mean, he did
have over 1,000 rushing, 1,000 receiving.
Right. What he does as a receiver, you have to
top 5.
You have to factor
voting
in there. He's 30, so you would expect it starts to go down. He averaged 3.9 yards per carry last year. But it's a solid list. I don't have many serious problems here. I think the one thing I look at is Chase Brown not even being honorable mention. I thought he would be a little bit higher. Brown last year, 1,000 yards on the ground, and he also had 430 yards and 5 touchdowns through the air. I'm a little surprised he's not higher. But outside of that, not a horrible list. Tony Pollard does not make it, even as did not receive any votes for the top 10 running backs in the league. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call. Any thoughts on this? We'll get to the cornerbacks list that came out this morning. There is a Titan on there. He is not in the top 10, I'll tell you that, but there is a Titan that is mentioned in the top 10 cornerbacks that was put out by Jeremy Fowler, polling executives, coaches, and scouts on the top 10 at every position group across the NFL heading into the 2026 season. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 1025, the game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley with you. All of our football offseason coverage on 1025 The Game is presented by Tennessee Brewworks, locally brewed, community driven, and Parman Tractor and Equipment, providing totally outrageous customer service. Visit parmantractor.com. We are going through the top 10 position rankings that ESPN puts out every single year. Running backs yesterday, no Tony Pollard, even in receiving votes. So outside the top 20 in the poll. Cornerbacks came out this morning. Did you look, Parker? Do you know who number one is?
I don't need to look to know.
Okay.
Pat Surtain.
It is Pat Surtain, number one with the Denver Broncos. Feels easy enough. Number two is Derek Stingley Jr. right here in the division. I think he's proven that he's probably right behind Surtain.
He was number two last year as well.
Yes, he was. Christian Gonzalez of the New England Patriots is number three. I think he's a really good player, and I think that's probably about right. Made the Pro Bowl last year.
Yeah.
Devin Witherspoon, number four from Seattle. Trent McDuffie, now with the Rams, previously of the Chiefs, is number five. Here's one that was interesting to me. Quinyon Mitchell of the Eagles, number six, out of Toledo. I think he's a really good player. I did not know he was viewed as a top six cornerback in the league at this point, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, Quinyon Mitchell, I think they have a nickname for him in Philadelphia, like Quintanamo Bay or something.
Yeah. Yeah,
no,
well,
he plays exactly like Tariq Woolen almost, except a little bit of a better version, and he's younger. He's just so long, and his strength for his size is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, he's definitely a top 6-7 corner in the NFL.
In the excerpt here on Mitchell, it says, Mitchell has yet to record his first NFL interception, but he had 29 pass breakups last year, which is kind of a crazy
He will
number.
get an interception soon. I mean,
Right.
he's just locking out. Nobody wants to throw his way.
Right. And that's the one thing with cornerbacks is stats are liars most of the time. Of you look at the numbers and say, oh, Trayvon Diggs led the league in interceptions one year. Well, that's because teams were throwing at him a lot because they felt like they could get after him. And, sometimes they make mistakes. And that it's going to happen. But yeah, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are both on this list, by the way, both in the same draft for the Eagles. DeJean is at 10. Denzel Ward, 7. J.C. Horn, 8. Sauce Gardner is 9. Something I noticed here, Parker, what do all of the top 9 players on this list have in common?
They're all very young.
Yes. They're all first-round picks. Every single one of the top 9 cornerbacks on this list are first-round picks. Titans have not been able to find a lot of good corners. I know they took Caleb Farley in the first round, but obviously that had a serious injury that he had to deal with. But Titans have not invested heavily in the cornerback position. You took Adoree Jackson in the first round in 17. You took Farley in 21. But outside of that, it's been a lot of flyers on second-round picks, third-round picks.
Cooper DeJean was the only second-round pick in the top 10.
DeJean is number 10. He was a second-round pick, but the other 9 were all first-round picks. And honestly, a lot of them were like top 5 or 10 picks. Surtain was a top 10 pick. Stingley was a top 10 pick. Witherspoon was 5th. Ward was top 10. J.C. Horn was number 8. 4. Sauce Gardner was number 4. So you're looking at the guys that you invest heavily in at cornerback are typically the ones that have success. And the Titans have not invested a ton at the top of the draft in corners. They've had to spend a lot of those picks on offensive line. So that was something I noticed. And I think that the Titans are going to have to tackle and cornerback are the 2 positions I look at right now and say, you need to add premium talent in the draft over the next couple of years. Because you look, the cornerbacks who play the best are the ones that are taken towards the top of the draft. Even you look at the honorable mention, it's second-round pick Kamari Lassiter, second-round pick Joey Porter Jr., first-round pick A.J. Terrell, second-round pick Jalen Johnson. All these guys are picked in the first 50 picks of the draft. You're going to have to spend that capital on cornerback sometime soon because Alontae Taylor, Cordell Flott might be fine players, but they're not long-term solutions at that position.
Right. It's kind of like, I compare it to college football because college football, the lifeblood of building a team is still high school recruiting. The transfer portal was meant to supplement. It's the same thing in the NFL, right? The lifeblood of constructing a roster in the NFL is still drafting really good players. The Rams and Eagles are two of the best at this. So we see two Eagles representative in this list here with Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. And then you're supposed to supplement through free agency. So Cordell Flott and Alontae Taylor may be good for you in the immediate future, but you also need to backfill with guys that you've drafted and that you developed. So I think that's why I know Kevin Winston doesn't play corner, but there's still value there because if he didn't have the ACL in college, that's probably a first round
he might
pick.
have been a first round pick. I look at this, and also the Texans, their cornerbacks are just loaded with Lassiter and Stingley. Like that defense is going to be a huge problem for everybody again with what they've got up front and what they've got at corner. If CJ Stroud can even play average football, that team should win the AFC South. But obviously we saw last year, especially in the playoffs, CJ Stroud was not playing average football. He was actively hurting the team. I did mention there's a Titans cornerback in here. In also receiving votes, if this is in order, which I believe it is, it's not in alphabetical order. Alontae Taylor would be ranked as the 17th best cornerback in the NFL by scouts, executives, and coaches. So there you go, Alontae Taylor in the top 20.
After having a great year last year, that's not a surprise.
Yeah, and I think that's, if you're paying close to $20 million a year for Alontae Taylor, you'd like him to play like a top 20 cornerback.
Again, this is going to help the Titans in the immediate future, but they still need to backfill with guys that they've drafted and developed.
You know, somebody that I'm a little surprised isn't listed here at all is Riley Moss with Denver. I think he gets a little bit overshadowed because
he gets unlucky with some of the penalties.
And he gets the ball thrown his way so much because
no one's throwing it.
Surtain. You've got the best cornerback in the league on the other side.
But the amount of PIs that Riley Moss gets, sometimes warranted, sometimes not.
Yeah.
It's a really bad break for him. I'm not surprised he's not on the list, but Riley Moss is a good corner.
I'm surprised he didn't get votes because I do think he is a better corner. If he didn't play on the other side from Pat Surtain, I think you would see that he's a better player than maybe he looks like when he is having to take targets all game long because no one wants to throw at Pat Surtain. Some other guys on the receiving votes. Travis Hunter is on the list for also receiving votes. Tyson Campbell, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Diamador Lenore, Reek Woolen. Deron Bland is on there. He's another one of those interception artists. But on this list, I was a little surprised to see Alontae Taylor actually make it. I know he had a good year with the Saints, but it is good to see that the Titans, who gave him a big contract, at the very least, it looks like the executives and the scouts and everything believe that he has earned that type of contract based on his play in New Orleans.
No, absolutely. He is a very, again, going to help this team right now, which they needed. And I think what turned a lot of people, especially locally, their attention to Alontae Taylor was that game versus the Titans.
Yeah.
What was it, December?
Yes, it was. It was mid-December. Yeah, mid to late December.
Yeah. So he played very well.
I agree with you. I think obviously he's a former volunteer, so a lot of people knew about Alontae Taylor.
Right.
But I think that game here at Nissan Stadium, all of us at the station came in and were saying, "Hey, he's a free agent.
Titans need to bring him in next year.
Titans need to go get Alontae Taylor." And it was nice to see that our request was answered by Mike Borgonzi and company.
Because very rarely does that happen.
Yeah, very rarely is the crowd, the mob mentality actually going to choose a player. But Alontae Taylor does come over from the Saints, and he, according to this list, Jeremy Fowler puts him together for every position group. He's the 17th best cornerback in the NFL. We will get edge rushers tomorrow. I am going to go out on a limb and say there won't be any Titans even remotely close to that list.
I'm also going to say there won't be any Titans representative on that list.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, obviously you got a lot of young guys in there. Jermaine Johnson is the only one that you could look at and say, all right, he's done something. He was a Pro Bowler.
But he was coming off the injury.
He's coming off the injury. He had, 2-3 sacks last year?
Might have been like 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5.
I mean, split the difference.
So he will not be on that list. But Thursday, defensive tackles comes out.
We might see two Titans.
There's a chance you see two. There's a chance that Jeffrey Simmons is the number one player on that list based on what he did last year. So again, it's list season around the NFL. We look around and we see all the rankings heading into the 2026 season. We do not recognize the NFL top 100 because it's just, I mean, every year it's just stupid.
The what?
The NFL top. Oh, yes, there you go. We do recognize these because it's from people who actually are around the sport and know what they're talking about. Not that the players don't. I know the players are doing it, but the players, it's not like they're doing research into this.
They're not watching film on these
They're
guys.
not sitting around like, all right, I'm taking my ballot home and I'm going to go watch every snap of every game and fill out my top 20. It's just like, oh man, I liked playing against that guy this year. Let's put him at 17. It's a stupid exercise that we do every single year. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to text or call, we'd love to hear from you. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at 1025 The Game for live shows and exclusive content. Coming up in hour number 2, we will be joined by Kevin Ingram from Vanderbilt. We'll talk some men's hoops. We'll talk some football. We'll even talk some Titans with Kevin Ingram. If you are watching the stream, you saw him come in. So he is in studio. We'll talk to Kevin coming up next for the entire 10 o'clock hour. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley, next man up here on 1025 The Game. Second hour on this Tuesday, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. And we are thrilled to be joined for the entire 10 a.m. hour by Kevin Ingram, coming over from Vandy, spending some time with us. Kevin, thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. Doing okay, Jake?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just trying to make the way through the summer here. It's all going to ramp up very soon. Once football gets here, it feels like it's, an express train that takes you all the way through May and June. And
right.
The next thing you know, it's, June of 2027. So enjoying a little calm and rest time.
I know. I was thinking about it this morning, actually, and I was like, man, there's just not a whole lot going on right now. And I was like, you know what? I can't take these days for granted because It's like once you hit football season, you're go throughout. Of course, for you as well, all the way through men's basketball season. Mm-hmm. In April, and then of course baseball right after that. So excited to have you in. We'll talk some Vandy, we'll talk some Titans, but I did want to get your thoughts on the as you put it during the break, disaster of a soccer game last night for the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, that was tough to watch, and the World Cup has been really fun to keep track of, and especially the U.S. men's national team, to watch them play and see how far they can go. And you hope that this would be the year, especially on home soil, that they would have a chance to maybe go farther than they've ever gone. And obviously the controversy with Balogun going into last night's match, but he's out there, so you go ahead and play. And they just didn't have it. I don't know what the deal was. You thought, okay, they scored the goal on the free kick to make it 1-1. All right, here we go. The crowd's into it, super energetic. Belgium answers like 90 seconds later. And then they just dominated the rest of the match, it felt like. The United States play, and again, I'm not super expert on soccer, but it felt like they were very tentative. They were not in attack mode, I didn't think, as much as they needed to be, or in desperation mode, especially when you're 2 goals behind in the second half and you're running out of time. Somebody take a shot,
right?
Do something, And obviously Christian Pulisic was not his best self with the injuries and so forth. It just, Belgium outplayed them by a lot. And there's a lot of talk that, it's karma and blah, blah, blah. I don't know that I buy all that. I just thought that the United States played really poorly and Belgium played really well.
Yeah, I think you look at the way, and I know Belgium is a higher class of opponent than the U.S. had seen so far, but in the first 4 games, the U.S. was the aggressor. It was like they were controlling possession. They were getting opportunities left and right, and it was the opposite. I mean, Belgium came out, they probably should have scored about 2 minutes into that game. So disappointing, but I guess it's the same result we've become used to as U.S. soccer fans around here.
Yeah, it feels like that's sort of the ceiling, doesn't it? For our, and I've never understood why the United States can't be a dominant force in soccer. I always joke, we have 350 million people. We can't find 30 soccer players that can win big when it comes time to play the World Cup. But it was fun to watch. It was a fun run. I wish it could have lasted longer. I mean, I got to where it was appointment viewing for me to watch these matches. So, but overall, the World Cup and just seeing the excitement around it and how much people who have come to our country have enjoyed themselves, it has been really cool to watch. But when that match was over last night, and you and I have both done a lot of games and so forth, and they're talking about how, the future is bright for U.S. soccer. It's like, that was not what I wanted to hear right then.
Right. It's everybody keeps saying, I feel like that's after every World Cup. It's like, it wasn't their year, but the future is bright. It's like, all right, what?
To me, the future was now. I mean, that would in that spot.
That was the best team that the U.S. has fielded, at least I think, since I can remember. And they, just to lay an egg in that moment. And you mentioned we got 350 million people. I don't want to bash on Tim Ream too much, but I saw somebody put out there like, we've got 300 million people in this country, and you're telling me there's not one better defender than Tim Ream that you could have had out there after last night. It was tough to watch, but we'll see in 4 years, 2030, it'll be here before we know.
Where's the 2030 World Cup? Do we know?
I don't know, actually. Have they announced that yet?
I don't know. They probably have.
2030 World Cup. It is Morocco, Portugal, and Spain.
Okay.
So there you go. It'll be on the Iberian Peninsula right there. So we will see. That has been the best part of the World Cup is everybody visiting the U.S. and you get to see, people from Germany and France experiencing a Buc-ee's for the first time.
Right.
That has been great. But
the travels of the dude from Germany has been the most fun part.
I know
to track that. What was his name?
Freddie.
Yeah, there you go.
Freddie's been great to watch. It was tough. He deactivated his Twitter account after Germany lost because I guess people were digging up old stuff and like bashing him for it. I'm like, let's just have fun. Let's just have fun.
Come on. I mean, the dude's just here having a good time.
Did want to get your thoughts on the Vandy men's hoops team. Of course, you're the voice of Vandy men's basketball, coming off another step forward under Mark Byington, getting to the round of 32. I know watching that game, I can only imagine for you. I've heard your call of the Tyler Tanner near game winner from half court. I fell to my knees in my apartment. I thought it went in. That had to be a fun game to call with obviously a disappointing ending.
It really was. Talking about Vanderbilt and Nebraska and Oklahoma City back in March. Second round game, it was a great game overall. The ending was tough, but Nebraska, I should say, I mean, they played great. They had an outstanding season in the Big Ten, and they were an excellent team. But Vanderbilt, they made the run and were right there on the doorstep, and you get another stop or two or you score another basket, you're right there with a chance to win. As far as that last shot with Tyler Tanner, Tim and I even remarked before they put the ball in play, having only like 2-point-something seconds makes it really tough when you have to go the full length of the court. But Tanner, it wasn't just, I think I called it a heave, but I kind of cringed when I heard myself say that because it was really a shot more than a heave. And if that had gone in, I got to say, I mean, I don't think you get much argument that would have been the greatest shot in Vanderbilt basketball.
Oh, 100%.
But when it was in the air, and it's all going 100 miles an hour, but it's also like it's in slow motion. When the ball's about halfway there, I'm thinking that has a chance to go in. And for a split second, I think Tim and I both thought that the ball was in. It was halfway down and then popped out. And you see some of the photos where the ball, I mean, it halfway down into the basket and then it rattled out. And I think everybody in the building kind of held their breath for a moment because the whole place was basically all Nebraska fans for the most part. We had the section A&M and Houston had a couple sections here and there, but for the most part, it was all Nebraska people.
Yep.
And I think that collective gasp when that ball is halfway in the basket was really something. But I think I just basically called the play and then put my head down on the on the table for a second, because not just that he missed the shot, but that this great season and great run that we've had is over. And also that's the last time you'll see that particular team play together. And that part is hard too. So.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been on the other side of that. My first year with the Vandy women's team, it was, I think the team was down 9 with a minute to go, and Marnell Gerard hit a 3 to tie it with 3 seconds left. And I'm going crazy, and it looks like it's going to overtime. And Arkansas hits a half-court shot to win it at the buzzer.
Yes,
and it's
I remember that.
It's like you just put your head down. And it's just like, how does that happen?
I was thinking, like, I really should have done a better job of calling it after the ball popped out. I think I just basically, if Nebraska wins, they go to the Sweet 16. And then Tim kind of took over from there for a few seconds while I was just like trying to figure out what to do next. But overall, it was a super fun run. It was a great season. We had another play that was very similar to that in the Missouri game. And that was a completely different game where Vanderbilt did not play very well for a lot of the night, was way behind. We came back and we had a chance at the end with Tanner again with a long shot like that at the buzzer that almost went in. So even Tim referenced that, after the one that popped out there in Oklahoma City. But it was really fun. For me, that was the first time I'd ever had a chance to call a second round game in the tournament. That was my, I think, 10th time I'd been to the NCAA tournament, whether it was with Vanderbilt second time, and then I went several times with Belmont, but never able to get over that hump and win a first round game. Won a first 4 game in Dayton one year with Belmont, but never a first round game to where you play the second game on that first weekend. So to be there and to have a chance to go to the Sweet 16, and it was right there in your grasp. And then there are other things that are ahead of you that you look at and say, well, the bracket's kind of opened up with some of the other results on the other side. So that part, you say, boy, that shot goes in. What happens next? I mean, are you talking Elite 8 or Final 4? I mean, you have all that right in front of you, and that team was certainly capable. Coach Byington did a great job with that group.
Yeah, I remember being in oh no, that was the next week in Fort Worth. But watching that game and then seeing Iowa beat Florida the next night was tough, because it's like, man, what could have been? What could have been? But future is bright for Mark Byington's crew, especially with Tyler Tanner coming back. I'm sure that was welcome news for everybody in the program when that came down a few weeks ago.
No question. There was no more welcome news than Tyler Tanner announcing he was coming back. And I sort of thought all along that he probably would come back. Just based on some of the projections and things. I don't know. I went back and forth a little bit, because you start to see some projections where he's in the top 20. You think, okay, if he's going to be that high, that he probably has to go.
Yep.
And you totally get it. And whatever decision he made, I would have been in his corner 100%. But, when you go through the draft process, you do all the workouts and evaluations and all those things, and you get all that information, and he made the decision he thought was best. And it was certainly the best decision for Vanderbilt, because he has a chance. He was first team all conference last year and honorable mention All-American. He has a chance to be even more than that this coming season. And, getting his body ready to play another year after, and you saw it with Michaela Blake's. These players take an absolute beating.
Yes.
And neither one of them are huge. They're not like they're 6'8"
Right.
and super built. They're slender, very athletic players, and just the kind of physical play and punishment they take. You have to get your body right and ready to go. And I know both of them work hard in that regard, and they're such exciting players. So yeah, seeing Tanner come back and excited about seeing Michaela Blake and our women's team come back for another run. It really is. It's a lot of fun. The men's team, they've added a lot of pieces through the portal. We can talk about that. And you got a few coming back in Chandler Bing and Jaden Leverett, who had a nice freshman year too. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think you can feel it. I've been over to the Huber Center a couple of times this summer, and there's just a feeling in there that those two programs are ready to take that next step forward. Of course, Mark Byington, he's been able to take, getting the team from 9 wins to the tournament in his first year, and then you take that step forward, you're one shot away from going to the Sweet 16. Excited to see what they do. And of course, the women's team in the Sweet 16 last year, adding some more talent this offseason as well. So going to be a fun fall and into the winter for Vanderbilt hoops on both the men's and women's side. We'll talk about some of the new additions to the men's team coming up next. We'll also get into some football with Kevin, as the 2026 Commodores getting ready to start their season in just about a month and a half here. It's coming up quick. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to ask any questions for Kevin, if you've got any thoughts on Vanderbilt, on anything that we've got Kevin Ingram for the next hour here on the program till 11 a.m. Jake Lyman, Kevin Ingram, Parker Kelley, next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, joined by Kevin Ingram in studio for the full second hour here on the show. Talking some Vandy hoops to start off. We'll get into some football and much more later on in the hour. Kevin, we talked about Tyler Tanner, but going to be another new-look squad for Mark Byington this year, as he's been able to maneuver the transfer portal through his 3 seasons, heading into his 3rd season. And a lot of exciting additions. You get Ace Glass from Washington State. You mentioned during the break T.O. Barrett from Missouri, a guy that Vandy played against. And then the front court, Ben Godek from Colorado. And I'm going to need your help on the Nebraska player. You had to pronounce his name on the air. Is it Buchtengel?
Berke Buchtengel.
Buchtengel. At least got the last name right.
Yeah, I struggle with it a little bit during the tournament game, so I ended up just calling him Berke a lot. I kind of chickened out and just said, you know what, I'll go the short way here. Those guys are great additions. It's really weird. I've been overwatch practice a little bit. It's weird to see those guys that we just played against a few months ago, wearing Vanderbilt gear and out there practicing and working out. T.O. Barrett had a nice season for Missouri. You mentioned Berke and also Sebastian Williams-Adams.
Yep.
He was a starter for Auburn when we played against those guys, and they made a nice run in the postseason in the NIT. So, yeah, it feels like added some nice pieces. The freshman Ab Brown, everybody's going to enjoy watching him play. That dude can shoot the rock, man. I mean, he is a great shooter, and I mean, he was a fantastic high school player. And you mentioned Ace Glass. I think all the guards they've added will be good additions to pick up for some key losses. You sort of wish you could have seen Duke Miles play another year, or some of the other guys, A.K. Okereke come back for another season, but they've reloaded really well, and I think this has a chance to be another really nice team. Yeah,
it is. I mean, it's the era we are in college sports now, where the transfer portal, you're going to get guys who are only here for a year or two, but it is disappointing when you see like Duke Miles was so much fun to watch, and especially with him being injured for a large part of the season, man, I wish I could have seen him in the black and gold just a little bit more.
Yeah, I know. And so much fun to be around too. Like, he's a great dude. Like, his energy and sort of positive spirit were a big part for this team. And I think that you could say that about several guys. Vanderbilt's team this past season had great chemistry. They seem to really enjoy each other's company on and off the court, and not only playing together, but it's kind of, you can feel that camaraderie.
Yeah.
Just watch the group. But man, Duke Miles, and he missed a chunk of the season with injury, and I think he had a procedure on his knee or something like that, if I remember correctly. But when he came back, once he got rolling again, he was a key piece, especially when you think about the postseason wins in the SEC tournament, and beat McNeese in the NCAA and then played against Nebraska. But Duke was so good, and wish those guys all the best. And I know a few have sign some pro contracts and have a chance to get a shot at maybe playing in the NBA. So we'll see how those go. But it was a super fun season. Everybody will think about the Nebraska game and the Tyler Tanner shot and everything, but the SEC tournament for me was almost as fun. Vanderbilt made a nice little run at the end of the regular season, beat Ole Miss and then beat Tennessee, both on the road to wrap up the regular year, turned right back around and played Tennessee again within the same week. They had beaten Tennessee on Saturday, played them again on Friday down on Broadway and beat them again. And then beat Florida, which was obviously the reigning champion. And then right in there against Arkansas until the under 4 timeout, and the Razorbacks got hot in that little stretch. But that was so much fun to have a chance to call an SEC championship game and to see our players and coaches and fans experience that was really cool.
No, that week was great. I mean, I'm sure that Florida win was one of the most fun games you've been able to call. I was listening to you. I mean, unbelievable win, the way that they played, just shot the lights out. And then, I mean, Darius Acuff, sometimes you just got to tip your cap when a guy gets hot on the right night, and Arkansas was able to get the win. But definitely a fun postseason run altogether for Vanderbilt.
It really was. The Florida game was, I thought, the best game that team played that season. And I thought the other Florida game at home that Florida actually won was another of the best games that Vanderbilt played. It felt like they figured some things out on how to combat Florida's bigs especially. And one disappointment of this offseason is that pretty much all of Florida's bigs are coming back for another year. But really, they just you sit there in the second half and Vanderbilt's up by like 15 or 20 points, and Tim and I are looking at each other like, what is going on here? This is amazing. But it was so much fun. And again, you learn to sort of appreciate it more for the players and staff and fans than anything else. But to have a chance to advance and go to the championship, again, it was really cool. And our guys played great, won 27 games. So hopefully go even further this coming year.
We talked about Tyler Tanner coming back, a couple other returners, Chandler Bing, Jay Leverett. What do you think they can bring in their second year in the black and gold?
I think they can bring a lot. Jake, Chandler, I don't know that maybe going into the year, you sort of knew what to expect out of him as a freshman, and he turned out to be a key piece.
Yeah.
The thing about him is he came in with a college basketball ready body. I mean, that guy's put together. He's really strong, and he did what they needed him to do. He played good defense. He scored some when you needed him to. He drove and slammed down some people when you needed him to do that, which was spectacular. But I think he can take a step forward, especially offensively. You'd love to see him take the kind of step that Tanner took from freshman to sophomore, where he went from being a bit of a role player to being one of the best players in college basketball. And that's a lot to put on Chandler's shoulders, but I do expect to see improvement out of him. Jalen Leverett, he had some really big moments this season. The Ole Miss game on the road where Vanderbilt had to battle and win the game in overtime, that he was a key part of that. But just, again, knowing his role and doing the things that they asked him to do, just grabbing some rebounds, getting some putbacks, slamming one down here and there. He did what he needed to do as a freshman, and he can shoot from the outside. He has a nice stroke. So I think he has a chance to show improvement this year as well and be a key part.
Yeah, I think you can see some similarities from last year's team of, a lot of transfers come in, but you keep that core group. Last year it was Tanner and Nickel and McLaughlin, and now you get to bring back Bing and Leverett as well. So I think it's a good group for Mark Byington heading into year 3. I do have to ask, I'm sure you get this a lot with Chandler Bing. Do you have friends calls ready to roll for this year with Chandler?
I tried to stay away from that for the most part. And Jacob Bell, our media relations director for men's basketball, had some fun with it, putting the note in his bio that he'd never seen an episode of Friends. And, that was something that a lot of people saw and had fun with. I might have gone down that road a little bit, just a slight reference here and there. But for the most part, I tried to sort of stay away from that. The funny thing is my wife is a Friends aficionado. Like, if I needed some Friends material, I would just ask her, and she could probably help me come up with. I've watched Friends and I've seen a lot of the episodes, but I made a reference here and there, but I kind of stayed away from that.
I need can he be any more open or something like that? right. I need something with Chandler Bing, but I also understand. I'm sure he has gotten that his entire life from the moment he was born.
And that's part of the reason I didn't do it as much. It's like, this guy's probably heard these jokes so many times that he just doesn't want any part of it or doesn't care. So I'm going to, maybe not do that as much.
Yeah, I mean, on a completely lower level, because
and I'm not above doing some cheesy stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think as a play-by-play broadcasters, you have to lean into it just a little bit. Like, you don't want it to be your entire shtick of like catchphrases and all that, but you got to lean into it sometimes.
I try to do subtle stuff that only like 5 people might get, but the 5 that get it might think it's really funny.
Right. I was hoping when I called a Vanderbilt baseball game last year. I'm sure you saw the clip of Mike Mancini when he was with JMU hitting the ball in regionals and crushing it. And the announcer goes, his favorite color is green trees. I don't know how it got there, but it's his favorite color is green trees as he hits it into the forest. I was praying that Mike Mancini would hit one over the green monster just so I could make that reference. If his favorite color is green, monsters. And only like 3 people watching would have understood it, but I would have giggled to myself a little bit.
That's great.
No, it's I'm excited to see what this team can do this year. I mean, I think with the talent that they've brought in and the transfer portal and the freshmen and what you're bringing back, like, I don't know if you can set expectations for this team, but I would think you'd hope to see them in the second weekend of the tournament this year.
I hope so. I mean, that would be the next logical step to make it to the Sweet 16 and go beyond. So, I feel like and again, new pieces, new faces. You see how it all fits together. Right. It doesn't always go exactly like you think it's going to. Maybe some of those guys you added turn out to be even better than you expect, and some have different roles than what you expected coming in. That always seems to be the case.
Yep.
And like you say, in this era of college basketball or college sports where there's so much player movement and the teams look so different from year to year, I think one thing that's good about the way Coach Byington goes about it and his system, it feels like it's very user friendly to where you can put guys together and they can practice and play together for a short amount of time and get the system down pretty quickly, and it works. It just feels like just the nature of the way he plays or the way he wants to play, a lot of read and react and up tempo and shooting threes and all those things. It feels like it's a good system for this era of basketball where you add pieces and put them together and try to make it work.
Yes, and I think you can definitely see the talent with this team. And as you said, we just have to wait and see how it all plays out. Vandy already has some games set. Big ones inside Memorial Gym. Wake Forest at home on November 5th. Memphis on November 10th. UCF on November 20th. So going to be lots of big matchups in the non-conference and, of course, into SEC play to come out and see Mark Byington's squad in 2026. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Anything you've got for Kevin, we will take it on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We will get into some football coming up next. The Vanderbilt Commodores getting ready to start their football season in just over a month and a half. Who could we see playing quarterback? What does the team look like post Diego Pavia? We will get into it next. Jake Lyman, Kevin Ingram, Parker Kelley, next man up. 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Kevin Ingram in studio, Parker Kelley at the controls. We got Kevin with us until the top of the hour. We're going to talk some Vandy football here. And to start us off, let's go to the phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Tim is called in. Tim, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey guys, first of all, Kevin, you and Jake both. I enjoy listening to y'all on the radio. Y'all both do a great job, and a lot of times I'll turn the TV down and just listen to y'all. I'd rather hear y'all than them anyway.
Oh, thank you, Tim. I appreciate
thanks,
that. Very kind.
Yeah, no. Is there any chance Naismith gets reclassified, or is he's going to be next year?
I'm not totally sure about that. I've heard a little something to that effect, but not totally sure.
Yeah. And are you hearing anything, Jake, or anything about the girl down here in West? I'm in West Tennessee, and where Hayden is. You hearing any recruiting on her? I know we're after her. You know, her mother's Ashley, and she played for Vanderbilt, so I didn't know if you'd heard anything about her maybe coming or committing.
Yeah, I am not clued in on a lot of the recruiting stuff there. I know that obviously Ashley McElhaney being her mom, there's a lot of ties to the program. Yeah. I want to say she's down to her top 5, but I'm not sure when we're going to get any resolution on that.
Well, what I've heard is it's down to 2, basically. It's us in Connecticut.
Yeah, which I guess would make sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, she's what? Is she the number 1 player in the country? If she's not, she's top 5.
Yeah, she's definitely a 5-star, and would definitely. I mean, Vandy and Shea Ralph have proven that they've been able to get 5 stars here. The number 5 player in the class.
Okay, and I'll tell you right now, we've got 2 of the best basketball coaches I guess we've probably ever had in Vanderbilt's history at the same time, especially. These 2 I think they're good enough. They can win a national championship. Either one of them can.
I would agree with you. I think both these coaches have proven that they've gotten the programs going in the right direction 100%.
And it just amazes me how Mark can turn a roster over every year and bring them in there, get them to play as a team and be competitive and do what they're doing. When they first hired him, I was like, who is Mark Byington? Why can't we get somebody better? And now I'm saying, don't want nobody better. I think we may have the best. So, all right, guys, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Tim. I think it's definitely been fun to watch those 2 programs grow and, doing it in different ways, of course. I mean, I think you've seen Shea Ralph build more through the high school route, while Mark Byington has been bring in the high schoolers, develop them, but also supplement with the transfer portal too.
So. I think both of them really understand what it takes to win in this era of college basketball and how you have to construct the roster and that you're going to have a lot of turnover and, try to keep your players out of high school. Both have done a tremendous job at that, but it is a year-round job, and you have to have people on your staff that can help you do that and keep an eye on all the players everywhere and who might be a fit for you if those players become available. So they both do a great job, and I agree with you and with Tim that, I mean, these coaches can take these programs a long way.
Yes. No ceiling on where these programs can go. So thank you for the call, Tim. Appreciate you chiming in. Did want to get Kevin's thoughts on football. Kevin, you can always listen to him on the sidelines for Vandy football broadcast right here on 102.5 The Game. Exciting year coming up. Coming off the first 10-win season in program history. Going to look different post Diego Pavia. No more Eli Stowers. But I think you can the excitement and the momentum is palpable in this program right now as they try and build off what was a great year.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And Clark Lee's done an amazing job. Won 17 games in 2 years. That's something that just hasn't happened at Vanderbilt. To see the program go 10-2 in the regular season last year was just remarkable. And also to go 6-2 in the SEC.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Just think about it for a second. to have that kind of success in the SEC. And it's going to be a 9-game SEC schedule this year, which is even more challenging. But he's done a great job, has great people around him. Staff is tremendous. Going back a few years, adding Tim Beck and Jerry Kill. I mean, those are huge additions that have made a lot of difference. but it is going to be different without Diego Pavia.
Yep.
There was something about that guy that he just had the magic and brought it to this program, and the swagger, whatever you want to call it. But he's also a tremendous football player, tremendous college football player who just put the team on his shoulders at times, whether there's throwing the ball and being super accurate, and his completion percentage was excellent, or just taking off and running and putting his body on the line every single game. I'll be interested to see what he does at the pro level.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say is I'll never bet against that dude because, I mean, you just don't. There's no telling. I mean, he might be a successful NFL player if just given an opportunity with the Ravens.
Right. I mean, I think everybody's doubted him from the beginning. I remember being at SEC Media Days with you and Andrew and everybody last year, and people were just laughing at him, going around saying, and obviously Vandy didn't win the national championship last year, but saying he wanted to be in the Heisman conversation and be in the national championship conversation. And Vandy, right on the outside of the college football playoff last year, nearly did it at 10-2, and then finishes as a runner-up in the Heisman. I agree with you. I won't doubt Diego Pavia and what he can do in the future.
And as far as Eli Stowers, I think he's a guy that's going to play double-figure years in the league.
Yep.
Just the way the game is now and the skill set that he has and his athleticism. He's kind of that hybrid tight end receiver who can do both and do it really well. I think it's the sky's the limit for that guy. I think he's going to be a tremendous NFL player.
I think you can see with Eli Stowers, the former quarterback in him, of just understanding how defenses are trying to play him. And he was always on the same page as Diego. Those two were so fun to watch, and obviously disappointing that they won't be playing for the Commodores this year, but there is a lot of excitement around this team. It starts with Jared Curtis, of course. And you called the spring game. I was down on the sideline. It was obvious that this guy has all the physical gifts that you need to play quarterback at a high level, but he is still a true freshman. And if he is given the chance to start, which we don't know yet, you have to expect there'll be some growing pains for the 18.
I absolutely. And that's just normal and natural for a young player, especially playing that position. But watching him in the spring and in the spring game and in the practices and so forth, there's no question the talent is there. The arm talent, I mean, the ball comes out of his hand with a lot on it. But he can also move around. I mean, he's a bigger guy, 6'3". I mean, that's not huge, but obviously bigger than Diego.
Yes, yeah.
But he can move around. He can run, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see how he progresses, and also to see what approach they take with him. Do you bring him along a little bit slowly? Do you throw him right into the fire? What do you do?
Right.
And I think a lot of that's going to come down to how maybe camp goes and how they feel about where he is and his progression and his performance. But I think it's going to be fun to see what kind of season he has as a first-year player. You do have a lot of pieces coming back, and they added some talent through the portal and obviously freshman players coming in. But, I mean, you got Junior Sherrill coming back, and that's a big piece for this team. Cedric Alexander is a fantastic running back. You have a few others at those positions. You got a tight end like Cole Spence, who's played a lot of college football. I've been around this program a long time. So I think on that side of the football, it's exciting to see those pieces come back that are familiar, to go with a little bit different looking situation at quarterback, and also an offensive line that is different but experienced. And they had some reloading to do there up front. And obviously, if you're going to win in the SEC, you have to be really strong up front on both sides of the football. How the O-line comes together will be a key part of the story for the offense.
Yeah, 100%. You bring back Cade McConnell, but a lot of new faces coming in from the portal on that offensive front. And you mentioned Cedric Alexander. That running back room is going to be fun to watch this year. I think you saw Seti come along throughout the year. Obviously had the big early touchdown against Tennessee that got things going. MK Young, the New Mexico State transfer, now in his second year with Vanderbilt. And how about James L. Lassiter? He was a big play machine last year for Vandy. So I think that's going to be a room that, if it is Jared Curtis or whoever's playing quarterback, will be relatively inexperienced. Leaning on the running game, I think, is going to be really important for this team.
Absolutely. And it's been fun over the course of his career to see Cedric Alexander become the kind of college football player he has become. Huge game against Tennessee, obviously, that victory over Knoxville. But, he scored 4 touchdowns receiving to go with 11 on the ground, carried for over 500 yards, and had 200 yards receiving. So he can catch a pass. He can run the ball. take it up into the hole. I mean, whatever you need him to do, he can be effective for this offense.
On the defensive side of the ball, returning playmakers, you got Martell Height out there at cornerback, CJ Hurd at safety. Now, you do lose some pieces. Randon Fontenette transfers to Colorado. Langston Patterson graduates. Somebody that Andrew brought up when we had him on a couple weeks ago was Issa Wataha, who didn't get to play much at all last year. Getting him back might be one of the bigger additions that Vandy is able to make this offseason.
Yeah, sometimes the biggest additions to your team are players you already have.
Right.
And Issa Wataha is one of those players. Experienced guys, graduate student, came over from Germany, but only played in 2 games last year, as you mentioned, with the injury. I think he held out hope that he was going to be able to come back and be effective for last year's team, but it just didn't work out that way. But he played in every game in 2024, what was pretty much a regular starter then, 31 tackles, 5 for loss, and a couple sacks back in 2024. He can be a game wrecker. And I think that's another guy that has a chance to be a very good NFL player. I mean, you see him at 6'7" and 300 pounds. I mean, he definitely looks the part. And I like the way he played a couple of seasons ago. Really disappointing that we didn't get a chance to see him last year, but looking forward to seeing him back on the field here in 2026.
Yeah, excited to see what this Vanderbilt team looks like. And you'll get to see a ramp up. Austin Peay, the opener on September 5th over at First Bank Stadium, then Delaware the week after, and then NC State leading into SEC play. I think it's a nice ramp up that you've got. Again, whoever's at quarterback, whether it's Jared Curtis or Blaise Berlowitz, you're going to need to give them reps in live games to build up for SEC play. You get your FCS opponent, Austin Peay, then your group of 5 in Delaware, and then you get an ACC test in NC State to lead up to Auburn on the road.
Yeah, here we go. I like the way the schedule is constructed in that regard, in that you do get a chance for a lot of guys to get some work in game situations early on before you go into playing SEC games. Some years it works out the other way around. You think back 2 years ago, open up against Virginia Tech. You start out with a power conference opponent right away in a really tough game, but it turns out that was a win that really springboarded that team to success that season. And we saw right away what Diego Pavia was going to be and that whole team. So some years it works better having a big game right off the bat. Some years it works better to have some games that, to be quite honest, you're expected to win off the bat. So I think the way the schedule is constructed is a nice ramp up.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. We've got one more segment with Kevin. We will take any questions, any thoughts you have on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We will wrap up the second hour after this. Jake Lyman, Kevin Ingram, Parker Kelley, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Kevin Ingram, Parker Kelley. We've got Kevin for one more segment here. Kevin, I know you're out at Titans games all the time and still working around the team. Thoughts on that is the touchdown song?
It's okay. I mean, it's appropriate for Nashville, I guess, Johnny Cash. So, yeah, and Ring of Fire with the fire. Well, I mean, will you still be able to use it now that they've eliminated the fireball from the
true.
logo?
I will stake my claim. We were the first ones to say that needs to be changed. I said it after the preseason game last year. We will see. We've got a little over a month until we'll find out.
I'm okay with it. It fits Nashville. It's all right.
I like Johnny Cash. I think bring back the Pain Train and play Folsom Prison Blues heading into the fourth quarter. Like, I think that's great. I don't need Ring of Fire after every touchdown.
Okay, all right.
Thoughts on the Titans? I mean, it's been a tough couple of years for this team.
To say the least.
Do you think that they're going to be able to turn it around in 2026?
I hope so. And you make a coaching change and you have another high draft pick that you use on a receiver that you badly needed. Really excited to see what year 2 for Cam Ward will hold. Hopefully no lingering effects from the injury from the last game of the season last year. That kind of stunk. But I thought looked like he can be an exciting player. They needed help at like every position group, it felt like. So hopefully they've added enough to be better than they have been the last couple seasons. And it feels like they've, receiver wise, it feels like they've added some nice pieces there, Mondale and obviously in the draft. So yeah, nowhere to go but up. So I'm optimistic that this team will be better and more competitive. The AFC South isn't the most difficult division in the NFL. So
right.
Maybe you can make some inroads there.
I think there are flaws in every team in the AFC South. Titans probably have the most at this point, but the Texans, their offense has struggled. The Jaguars, year to year, they might be the most volatile team in the league. It's like, hey, you go 13-4 one year, but you might go 3-14 the next year.
I thought it looked like, say, about 2 or 3 years ago, like the Jags were going to be the team to beat for a while in that division. When Lawrence, and it just looked like they had it all going on and had the right pieces in place at the right positions, but it hasn't really worked out that way. Houston has probably been more consistent over the last couple of years, but I want to see the Titans have a good season in the last year at what's going to be the old Nissan Stadium, which is, the whole thing is weird for me to see him building this new stadium downtown. It's gigantic. But I remember, and it was right basically when I first moved here, they were building the current Nissan Stadium in that spot. And there's so much excitement about them playing there and having the new stadium and just see like the entire life of a stadium. And here in a few months, it's going to be gone.
I know
that is just strange for me to try to wrap my brain around. They were talking about during the CMA Fest that this is the last time that we're going to have it at this stadium. Like, what? Yeah, well, I guess that's true. So yeah, a lot of fun memories in that place. And I'd like to see one last set of fun memories in that building where you've had the Music City Miracle, you've had a million Titans games. Maybe it's not as much playoff success as you would have hoped. Most of the big playoff wins have been on the road for this team.
That is true.
For this franchise since they've been in Nashville. But yeah, I'd like to see a big send-off in the old stadium.
I agree with that. And it is crazy now that you mention it, of when they first announced the new stadium, it felt like something so far out in the future. And now just when you're driving around across the Cumberland on 24, it's like, oh, it's almost ready. And that the new stadium will be ready in less than a year at this point, a few more months. And so I agree with you. I think send out Nissan Stadium, the current Nissan Stadium, on a high note. And also you need some excitement heading into the new stadium, right? With how much they're charging for those tickets. You need to have the team actually looking like they can play well heading into the new Nissan Stadium.
Yeah, you like to have that momentum going into the new building. And obviously the Super Bowl is going to be here in a few years. And that was a whole lot of the aim of building a new stadium, was to be able to get events of that kind, especially that particular event. So you knew it was coming, but to see it officially announced that the Super Bowl is going to be in Nashville, to me is crazy. As someone who's lived in this area for a whole lot of my life, I grew up in basically an hour up the road, lived here since the late 90s. To see Nashville grow into a spot where you're going to host the biggest sporting event, certainly in the United States, and I know World Cup is right there as well.
Yeah.
the Super Bowl is about as big as any event in the world when it comes to sports. To have it here in our town is going to be crazy.
Yeah, I know. When it first happened for me, obviously it's still stunning from somebody on the outside because I didn't grow up here to see Nashville being a Super Bowl city. But I'm sure for you and others who have been around this city since it became an NFL town, to see a Super Bowl coming to Nashville just has to be insane.
It really is, and the addition of big time professional sports has taken this city up,
Right.
a level or two into what it is now, and it's the growth of this city and this area has been amazing. But having the NFL here, having the Predators and the NHL here, and seeing what it's all become, it's been really remarkable to watch. For somebody who remembers, going down to Greer Stadium in 1984 and or going to Nashville Knights games at Municipal Auditorium. Like, that was the first hockey I ever saw in person, going back to the late 80s, early 90s. So to see what it's grown from to what it is now, it's really something.
And you mentioned Nashville Cats there too. The Nashville Cats, they're getting ready for a playoff run up in Clarksville.
Yeah.
So it's a true pro sports town. Before we wrap up here, we got Argentina and Egypt. We were talking during one of the breaks, Kevin, of are you going to be locked in on the World Cup the rest of the way now that the U.S. is out of it?
I say, well, the United States is out. I probably won't watch as much. You know what? I'll probably watch just as much. It's almost like the NCAA tournament for me, maybe not quite to that extreme. Whenever the tournament run is over, say for Vanderbilt, I'm always like bummed and I'm not watching anymore. And then I end up watching like every single game the rest of the way. That's probably how I'm going to be about this World Cup. Bummed that the United States is out, but it's such exciting competition and the scenes are so amazing. They're playing this match down in Atlanta at Atlanta Stadium.
Yeah. So funny that you can't have any branding on the, like, I was seeing the wide shots of Seattle Stadium last night and like all the covers over anything that says Lumen. Like, is it that serious that you can't have the stadium sponsors be?
Them and their corporate partners. The funny thing to me has been the fun that some of them the stadiums have had with the whole situation. Like Gillette put the big thing of shaving cream over the stadium at New England Stadium, or Boston Stadium, or whatever they call it. They're Levi's Stadium. Covered up the logo.
Well, and then they made that their profile picture on Instagram was the covered up logo. I thought they've had some fun with it.
Yeah,
so
that's good stuff.
Kevin, appreciate you coming in. It's been a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again soon. Obviously,
anytime.
Gearing up for football, for men's basketball. We'll be sure to have you on the show many more times as we get ready for those seasons.
Anytime. Thanks, Jake. Always great for the invite.
Kevin Ingram joined us for the last hour. Always great stuff when Kevin comes in. We will take a break. We got one more hour on the program. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5, the game, final hour on this Tuesday. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Big thanks to Kevin Ingram for joining us in the last hour. Lots of great insights into Vandy men's hoops, Vandy football, and we got some Titans talk in there with Kevin Ingram. We got to get Kevin on more. As we saw in the text line, the Nashville audience loves to hear some Kevin Ingram.
It's an iconic voice. I remember
is.
listening to him growing up, and he does a great job with the Vanderbilt games. He just has a very welcoming, friendly. You want to listen to the guy,
Right? Yeah, we'll have to get Kevin on more as one of our next men up here on the show. I did just see this. We're going to get back into the Titans in a second. Did you see the Big 12's entitlement sponsor that they just announced at Media Days?
Yeah, that should not be a surprise. It also may get brought up a little bit later tonight.
Okay, yeah. You know what? I haven't teased it yet. If you want more college football talk, the Air Raid with Parker Kelley live at 6 o'clock on 102.5 The Game's YouTube
very
channel.
First show.
Yes, 6 o'clock Central. Parker Kelley. You're going to talk some Big 12 football.
We are going to talk Big 12 football. Now, I understand we are an SEC country. I'm kind of taking this week by week. With Big 12 Media Days happening this week, I'll hit on a lot of the big topics. We'll talk about Sorsby. We'll talk about Deion Sanders in Colorado, maybe a little BYU. So I'll try not to bore you too much, but we're going to have some fun.
Brett Yormark refused to talk about Brendan Sorsby this morning, apparently. They asked him about it, and he said, this is the time to celebrate our new football season. So did not talk about Sorsby, but he did announce that Monster Energy is going to be the entitlement sponsor of the Big 12. There will be jersey patches and field logos of Monster Energy for football and men's and women's basketball.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by this whatsoever.
Monster screams Big 12. I don't know what it is. Like, if you had to think of what energy drinks would you assign to the major conferences? Because I think Monster fits Big 12.
Yeah,
perfectly.
Monster. I mean, you got to think of the big ones like Celsius, things like that.
I think Celsius
those kind of fit.
Celsius kind of fits the Big 10.
Yeah, or maybe yeah, I could see that.
I think Red Bull is. I'm going to go ACC for Red Bull. Because it used to be kind of big, but now with other options out there and more resources, it's kind of fallen off. Like I feel like Red Bull isn't the big energy drink anymore. And then what would the SEC be? Bang.
What about Ghost?
Ghost?
You think Ghost is in there?
C4, it makes your face itch.
Oh man.
I don't know. But I don't know why when I saw that, I was like, Monster and Big 12. Perfect.
Well, it makes sense why they're doing this, right? I mean, they're trying to close the gap because in terms of revenue among the four Power 4 conferences, the Big 12 is last.
Yeah.
So it makes sense why they're trying to do this. And they've talked about trying to get in bed with private equity, trying to close that gap even more. It makes sense. Trying to sell their naming rights, trying to do whatever they can to close the gap between the SEC, Big 10, and everybody else.
Well, speaking of jersey sponsors, I think the match made in heaven that we saw last week, I'm sure you saw this too, Parker. Wisconsin having Culver's on their jersey is just awesome.
That is, because I went to school in Chicago, but I was really close to Wisconsin. And for some reason, the Culver's just tasted better up there. I don't know if it was like the cheese they used or what, it was just better. It was better in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin's got some good stuff. Culver's is like we have Culver's here in Nashville, and so you can get it there. But Culver's, you get is it the cement mixers? Are their milkshakes?
The concrete?
They're concrete mixers. Yeah.
It's all the same. Cement, concrete.
Yeah, cement, concrete, whatever it is. The cheese curds that you can get as a side. I do love,
which I prefer over fries,
and it just fits perfectly for Wisconsin.
It does. I just don't know what it is. It has to be the cheese, but I will say, I would have friends that would bring, they'd go back home for the weekend. They'd bring back some cheese and some beef jerky from Wisconsin. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
They've also got the Spotted Cow beer up there in Wisconsin, which is great.
I haven't heard of that.
I tried it when I was up there for Summer League baseball. It's good. It's good. It is something that I would encourage if you're in Wisconsin. I think it can only be sold in Wisconsin to go try. this is kind of like question of the day, and maybe stealing from Chase and Big Joe. If you had to pick a jersey sponsor for Vanderbilt and Tennessee, what would it be?
Ooh, you could go a lot of different ways. Let's see. For Tennessee, I feel like the sponsorship they already have with Pilot
I
makes
was
a
about
lot
to
of
say
sense.
Pilot Flying J was what I was going to pick for
So
Tennessee.
you probably couldn't do Buc-ee's because that would be competing. So there is this restaurant in the state, like Petro's Chili,
Okay.
that is specific to the University of Tennessee, and I love their chili. So that would make sense
Okay.
to have that.
I like that. For Vanderbilt, I kind of like Satco. I know, like, if you're gonna do a big jersey, it probably has to be a bigger chain. But like Satco would be good for Vandy.
But also doing something specific to the university.
Right. Yeah. So if you're gonna go bigger chain, like National Corporation, I'm trying to think what would make sense for Vandy.
I'm trying to think too.
Because, like, I mean, you could obviously go like
you could do something Nashville related,
right? Nashville related. Like, could you go like Hattie B's or something like that?
Sure.
Like, that's a bigger chain.
Known for hot chicken,
right?
I don't know if they've worked with Vanderbilt before, but
yeah,
and you could go a lot of different places. Hattie Jane's Creamery,
there you go,
place that sponsors the
station.
The station.
That's true. Yeah,
Hattie Jane's is awesome. It
really?
is probably my favorite ice cream in Nashville.
I haven't been over there. I know Chase and Big O were out there last week for a show.
Yes.
Chase and Nick, or Big Joe and Nick. And I do want to try it. I've been looking for a good ice cream spot around here. I don't get ice cream very often.
Are you a milkshake guy or ice cream?
Kind of depends. I like milkshakes, but I've tried to stay away a little bit from ice cream milkshakes. Like, I eat enough red meat that my cholesterol doesn't really need ice cream and milkshakes all the time. But
I mean, it's hard to stay away from for me. Like, I love ice cream.
Yeah,
I love ice cream more than any other dessert. I'm an ice cream guy.
Yeah, maybe I should probably. My wife would love to go to Hattie Jane's, so there we go. We'll make that happen. 4312 says Dollywood would be the best sponsor for UT.
That would be a good one.
Just get Dolly's face right there. I like it. Scott says Vanderbilt sponsored by the Woo Girls. Do we just do that? Vanderbilt sponsored by bachelorette parties of Nashville.
Yes, and all the little party buses, the pedal taverns.
The pedal tavern company can do it. I love it. Culver's for Wisconsin, Monster Energy for the Big 12, new sponsors. Let's get into the Titans here once again. I mentioned it's list season, and we've got plenty of lists to talk about. Earlier this week, ESPN ranked all 32 rosters just from top to bottom. Titans come in at 28th. I don't really have a problem with where they're ranked. Based on what we've seen from this team, I think they're still probably a bottom 5 to 7 roster in the NFL. They're right behind the Raiders. I think you can make an argument the Titans roster is better than the Raiders. The Jets are 2 above them. The Jets have a better roster. You just don't have a quarterback there. So for the Titans, 28th, I don't have a huge problem with it. One thing that they write in the article, though, they say the biggest weakness is safety. And I thought this was an interesting conversation to have, Parker. We do have to take a break. Let's do it on the other side. I want to talk safeties with you because they say that safety is the biggest weakness on this team. And I just don't know if I believe that. Like, yes, is it one of the stronger positions? Maybe not, but I don't know if I would call it the biggest weakness for the Titans. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. If you have other ideas for jersey sponsors for Vanderbilt and Tennessee, we'll take those as well. We've got some funny ones on the text line. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley, next man up here on 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5, The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley with you. Talking Titans here in hour number 3. We'll get back into the U.S.'s embarrassing loss last night in the World Cup. Argentina-Egypt is underway, scoreless in the 13th minute right now down in Atlanta. This game I care about, but I am glad it's Colombia-Switzerland tonight. I really have no interest in watching that game, so I can go about my business.
Yeah, I will not be watching either.
What time is that game? Is it like mid-afternoon or is it late?
I do know that it's at 3:00.
3:00. I mean, I could have it on in the background, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm slowly
while you're doing something else.
Slowly talking myself back into watching more soccer. But again, we can turn the page now to football season. It is still 2 months away, but we're getting closer. We are getting closer. And ESPN ranked all 32 rosters. The Titans came in at 28th. And I mentioned heading into the break, Parker, that they list the biggest weakness for the Titans as safety. And I just don't think I can put them even in the, I would say even top like 3 or 4 weaknesses for this Titans team. Yeah, Amani Hooker had a down season last year. I would say part of that was just not having any help around him in the secondary. Kevin Winston was injured for most of the season. Your cornerbacks were in and out of the lineup left and right. You were playing with guys I'd never heard of by the end of the year. So I'm going to give Amani Hooker the benefit of the doubt that maybe if he had a little more talent around him, he could have had a better year. I will say he was a step slower last year on some of those plays, needs to be better. But in this, it says second-year man Kevin Winston Jr. played 297 snaps as a rookie, but will now battle veteran newcomer Tony Adams for the other starting gig. I don't know if that makes the Titans if that makes it a weakness for the Titans at safety. Kevin Winston, I think there's a lot of belief in him taking a step forward in year 2. We've heard as much from TD that that's somebody that he believes is going to step up. And with Tony Adams, I think that he's somebody that Robert Saleh trusts in the secondary as a third safety, somebody who could step in and maybe play the big nickel role for the Titans at times. So I think safety, yes, it's not one of the strongest positions on this Titans roster, but I would say the offensive line is a much bigger weakness for this team. I would say edge rusher, it's better than it was, but it's a whole lot of unknowns there. And I might even say cornerback is a weaker position than safety, given the lack of depth that the Titans have at that spot.
Yeah, and safety is a weakness. Like, I get all of that. Amani Hooker, Kevin Winston. Yeah, but with the corner thing, I mean, when I was out there at practice, your twos were Micah Robinson and Keydrain Callaghan.
Oh, right.
Keydrain Callaghan wasn't on this team last year, was an undrafted free agent out of Southeast Louisiana. I would feel much more concerned about the corner group than I would safeties, but it's very apparent to me that we didn't berate the offensive line enough yesterday.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if I'm thinking, what's the biggest area of weakness for the Titans going position by position? That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it feels obvious. We don't need to go in on the offensive line again. We've made our feelings very clear that this offensive line has not been invested in enough. But like, they list the starters under the teams, and when you look at the starters and you see Volson and Schlotman starting, and then you look at the back end, you see Hooker and Winston starting, I feel a lot better about Hooker and Winston than I do about them up front. Biggest strength that they list is wide receiver. And isn't that funny to hear for a Titans team that the biggest strength on the team is wide receiver, a position that has just been a wasteland for years and years and years?
Yeah, that's yeah, it's definitely new. But I do agree with that. You bring in Wandale, you draft Carnell Tate, you bring back Calvin Ridley, you adjust the contract a little bit, because even if Calvin Ridley is a 500 to 600 yard receiver this year, he's still, we shouldn't take for granted that he can pass down the things that he's learned to some of the younger guys, because Alec Aomanor, Chim Dike, they both learned a lot from Calvin Ridley last year, and Carnell Tate might be able to do the same as well.
Well, what have we heard about Calvin Ridley since he's been here in terms of the best thing about him?
Work ethic.
Work ethic. He is the hardest practicer that you will ever see. We've heard that from TD. I believe Paul Kuharski has said that you go out there and you watch Calvin Ridley practice. He's giving it his all. He is a great practicer. Practice player, I guess, would be a better way to put it. But that's not why you signed him. You didn't sign him to be a good influence and to be a good practice player. You signed him to produce for you, and he hasn't done enough of that since he signed that 4-year deal. But I agree with you that when you have young players in the room, Carnell Tate, Chimdike, Alec Iamaner, it is good to have that veteran presence in the room, showing them the right things to do, being a leader by example. So I do think that this wide receiver room, when you look at what they can bring on the field, Carnell Tate is a possible wide receiver 1 when you take him in the top 5. Wan'Dale Robinson is one of the better slot guys the Titans have had in a long time. You have the veteran presence in Ridley and 2 young up-and-coming guys like DK and Iamaner. I agree. I think that the Titans' biggest strength probably is their wide receivers. You could say the defensive tackles with Simmons and John Franklin Myers and the depth behind that with Elliott and Thomas and Jackie Marshall. But I do think wide receiver is probably the strongest position group on this Titans team, which is just so strange to say.
But it's the truth. You go out there and you have 5 receivers definitely that you can feel comfortable having on the field at any point.
Yeah, maybe 6 if
Bryce Oliver. Because the thing about Bryce Oliver, I remember his last practice of training camp last year. He had 3 touchdowns. And he was just, he's one of those really good in practice, and then he can contribute on special teams as well. But him being hurt last year, we just didn't get to see any of that on the field. So it would be nice to see that translate to the games if, depending on how much he plays. But in practice, he's really good.
And TD said on DVD yesterday, also don't count out KJ Osborne as well. He's been stepping in and taking a lot of those first-team reps when Calvin Ridley's been out. So I think this is a deep wide receiver group, and it has the potential to be really, really talented as well. Carnell Tate is the key cog in that. Can he take the step forward? But in the same vein, we talked about 2016 yesterday. And in 2016, the strategy from John Robinson to improve the roster was build the offensive line in the run game. Mike Borgonzi has gone the opposite way. He has brought in weapons for Cam Ward. Just as we said yesterday, doesn't mean it's the wrong strategy, but it definitely is maybe against the norm of building through the interior first, getting your offensive line set, and then finding your outside guys. It's all going to depend on whether Carnell Tate is a legit wide receiver 1. Like you said, Parker, within his first 3 years, can he have a 1,300-yard season? If Carnell Tate does that, I think the Titans are going to be okay. If Carnell Tate turns into a top 10 to 12 wide receiver in the entire game, I think it's going to, you're going to see this offense take a big step forward over the next few years. But the offensive line obviously is a big part of that too. The meme that the Bengals made when they were debating between Penei Sewell and Jamar Chase, it's like you can throw to anybody as long as your quarterback is protected, but you're never going to get the throws off if he's running for his life.
And we've seen the Lions throw to some of their linemen. We've seen them throw to Penei Sewell, to Taylor Decker, guys like that. But no, that was one of those things you couldn't go wrong either way. But at the time, the Bengals really needed offensive linemen. They have probably the best wide receiver core in the NFL.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah. I think you can make that argument.
Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing. We talked about it yesterday. How much is Cam Ward actually going to be able to do behind this offensive line? Because you take away the run game, it's pretty dry. The offense is going to be pretty dry.
Yep. And so we will have to see. The offense in 2016, when we had this conversation yesterday, we saw it went from the 30th best offense to the 11th best offense in 1 year. Titans were the 31st best offense last year. Can they take a step even into like the late teens? Like, can you be 17 or 18 and just be average? I think that would be a massive step forward if you're scoring 22 to 23 points per game versus 17 last year? Was that what they ended up on?
I think so.
I think it was 17.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Maybe it was a little bit higher than that. 16.7, even worse. So, if you can get above 20, that'd be great. I don't know if they will, but just a marginal step forward would be a big deal for the Titans. Last thing on this article, X factor to know, or non-starter to watch. They list Keldrick Falk, and I actually agree with that. I think Keldrick Falk is going to be a big part of whether this defensive line is successful or not. Like, I think you know what you're going to get from Jeffrey Simmons. I think you know what you're going to get from John Franklin Myers. Those guys are going to be disruptors. They're going to make plays. The edge group is a lot of question marks. You hope Jermaine Johnson is going to get back at least into the same realm of what he was before the Achilles injury. Keldrick Falk doesn't need to be an 8-sack guy as a rookie, but if he can be a force in the run game, and maybe get 4, 5, 6 sacks as a rookie, I think that can be just a huge boost to this defensive line that needs a, tertiary option. You've got your primary and secondary guys, but you need this rotation that Robert Saleh likes to run to lead to actual production. And that's going to fall on Keldrick Falk, but also guys like Jacob Martin and Femi Oladejo. You need one or two of those guys to step up and have decent years. Maybe it's not Falk, but you did draft him in the first round for a reason. I would think that you'd be looking for him to maybe not be, again, like an 8-sack guy as a rookie, but be a productive player in his first year with the Titans.
Yeah, you had a feeling that it was probably going to be a defensive guy given Robert Saleh's previous history and the fact that it was Keldrick Falk, a first-round pick this year, over a guy like Femi Oladejo who was hurt last year and a second-round pick. It makes sense. But if we're being honest, they're both definitely going to be players to watch just to see what they can do. For Keldrick Falk, his rookie year, for Femi Oladejo, still trying to get acclimated to being a true edge rusher. You'd like to see what Robert Saleh can do with a guy like that.
Training camp is just a few weeks away, and we will get a better view of what that group looks like, as well as the offensive line. We spent yesterday saying that the Titans didn't have enough of a plan and didn't execute a plan well enough this offseason to improve the offensive line. We're going to learn a whole lot about how good the offensive or the defensive line could be, and maybe how bad the offensive line could be when training camp gets going coming up in 3 weeks. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We will take your thoughts on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We've got a couple more segments with you on this Tuesday. We will get back into the horrible loss last night from the U.S. coming up after this. And anything else you want to get to, we'll talk some Titans. We'll talk some college football. Big 12 Media Days beginning down in Dallas today. Lots to get to. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake, Lyman, Parker Kelley with you. We got 30 more minutes left on the show. Depressing music calls for a depressing topic.
Yep.
U.S. men's national team last night. We let off the show with it, but just disappointing result. I do want to mention before we get into this, Egypt, good start. They scored the opening goal, got a save on Lionel Messi with a penalty. So we'll keep an eye on that, see if Egypt can upset the defending World Cup champions. With U.S. soccer, I feel like we were all duped. Like, I don't know a ton about soccer. So, like, watching, I can't tell you whether the team's strategy is good, the way they move the ball around. But we were told the U.S. was a contender this year, Parker, right? Like, Zlatan Ibrahimovic said that this team could win it all. And I think that was probably a little bit of a stretch. But the way people talked about this team, it was like, oh, this is a team that's ready to compete with some of the top teams in Europe. Maybe not all of the top teams, but a team like Belgium, U.S. was favored. I think everybody after the Flo Balogun news was saying, oh, this U.S. team is ready to go. And they were outclassed last night. It looked like nothing we had seen against Paraguay, Australia, even Turkey with the B squad. Even though they lost that game, that team looked better than the team that we saw last night. I just feel like we were duped by all this hype about the U.S. team, that this is a better team than we've seen in previous World Cups, when we got the same, if not a worse result last night in the round of 16.
Well, they still may have been a better team than we've seen in the past. And just, again, like I said at the beginning of the show, you get all this expectation. You're playing a really notable team from Europe, and you choke. I mean, that stuff happens. It's sports. So both can be true at the same time. The U.S. really let us down yesterday. They're really disappointed, but also at the same time, they may have actually been a better team than previous U.S. teams in past.
Yeah, that's true. And
it just hurts more because, this was the year the U.S. is hosting the World Cup.
Right. Well, and I think everybody started to get expectations of like, oh man, after those first two games where you've already locked the group up, you've outscored your opponent 6-1. It's like, man, this is a different team than what we've seen before. And you got more of the same last night. Maybe it was just an off night for everybody. I don't know. The crowd was into it. That should have brought you energy. I do wonder, not that Belgium needed more incentive. It's the World Cup. Every game is important once you get to this stage of the tournament. But I do wonder if the Balogun stuff put an extra chip on Belgium's shoulders, gave them a little bit more incentive of like, all right, we need to go out and shut this down. I don't know. It felt like a circus over the 24 hours leading up to the game after the Balogun news was announced. And you want to have as many of your good players out there as possible. You want to have a guy like Flo Balogun who had scored 3 times for you on the field. But I do wonder if that ended up being a distraction for the U.S. with all the media circus and noise that was going on around it, and ended up being more of a motivator for Belgium.
Yeah, for maybe a team that has never really been to this point. Like, they have, but the expectations were raised compared to what they were in previous years. So maybe that was a contributing factor, because here's what I do know, and I'm not a soccer expert, but I feel like you don't have to be to know that the team we saw last night was not the team we saw.
All 3 goals that the U.S. gave up, it felt like like a Bermuda Triangle thing in baseball, where shallow fly ball, right center field, 3 guys converge on it and all yell, "You got it," and it falls in between them. Like, man, that's kind of how I view the first 2 goals. And, the third one was obviously just a horrible mistake from Matt Freese, not getting a foot on that ball and clearing it. But the first 2, it just felt like the back line all just yelled, "You got it." And it led to De Cantelare, who scored the first 2 goals, getting easy shots, one of them just dunking on Tim Ream. But just the hesitation from the back line to go and make a play led to Belgium getting a chokehold on that game early.
I'm still just baffled by the fact that he didn't clear that when they got their third goal.
The third one is just inexcusable.
I'm baffled by it. And I really feel like the first, maybe all 4 goals were easily avoidable.
Yeah. I honestly, I didn't see the fourth one, but I heard that I was kind of on my phone and I heard Belgium makes it 4-1.
By that point, the game was already over.
And I hit the power
over.
button and went to bed.
Yeah.
So I did not even watch that fourth goal happen. But the third one was, I said it earlier on, that was the backbreaker. You were down 2-1, but you had still started to stem the tide a little bit early on in that second half. Belgium had kind of parked the bus. They were trying to just take away any dangerous chances from the U.S., but you were controlling possession. You were getting some opportunities here and there. And I don't know if it was just me, but it felt like the U.S. was going to break through at some point. And then you get that play where Freeze just, he just chunked it. Like, I don't know if you looked at the still picture of it. He hit the big ball before the small ball. His foot hit the earth before it hit the ball. He had to stop. And you end up hesitating, and it ends up being an easy goal. That one just, it cannot happen. On that stage, that is a middle school level mistake from a goalie. That just cannot happen.
I mean, you get pulled for that type of stuff in the lower levels of soccer. You get pulled for that type of stuff. Was there ever a point in time last night where you felt like the U.S. had momentum?
When Tillman put the goal in.
That's it.
And
that for me, that was it.
I will say early in the second, it felt like the U.S. was the aggressor again. That they were they were sloppy pretty much all night, but there were moments here and there where they were getting forward. They were getting opportunities. So I would say after the Tillman goal, when you tied it, that lasted about 60 seconds. And then the first like 10 to 15 minutes of that second half, I felt decent about it. That was that ended it. Looking back, the U.S. had opportunities after that. Balogun had the chance one-on-one with the goalie and couldn't finish, but it felt like you were never going to be able to get two before Belgium scored again. And just so disappointing to lose that way. Like, if you lose because Belgium made some ridiculous plays and, you were in the right positions, but just they were the better team, which they were the better team, but it wasn't that they made plays to score goals. The U.S. didn't make plays that allowed them to score goals. And for Tim Ream, they pulled Serginho Dest at halftime. Pochettino pulled Serginho Dest. And I thought that was the right call because he was just, he was sloppy. He was running right into defenders, losing the ball, taking away chances for the U.S. That was the right call to put Gio Reyno in. But could Tim Ream not have been pulled too? I don't know what we've got behind him, but it couldn't have been worse, right?
You could have pulled a lot of guys last night. I feel like Berhalter, for a point in the second half, was the only one given any heart.
Yeah, Berhalter, got to give him credit.
He played hard.
He sent that shot wide in about the 80th minute and was saying, "Let's go."
I know he's trying to get everybody going.
You shouldn't have to do that in this moment.
If anybody, that should have been Balogun. That should have been Pulisic. That should have been anybody. Like, the best players. You need your best players to step up when you get down like that.
Yeah, it was, just tough. It's like you look forward to that game, and outside of, again, 60 seconds after the Tillman goal, you just kind of sat there in silence because there was not much to cheer about the whole game. Did you feel, Parker, at times that it felt like Belgium was playing with two extra players at all times? I don't know if it was just the way they were pressing the ball, but every time Pulisic touched it, every time Tillman touched it, anytime the ball got close to Balogun, there were two Belgian defenders there. They just could not move that defense to get opportunities.
Yeah, and I don't always know what I'm watching half the time with soccer, but I do know there were a lot of passes that were, either intercepted by Belgium or they're just sloppy passes. But yeah, it did feel like Belgium was pressing a whole lot, and the U.S. just really, I don't know if they just weren't prepared for that or if they were just spooked. But yeah, it was really sloppy for a majority of the game.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Some thoughts on the text line. David says, I would not say that I am an expert at soccer, but I played travel ball for more than 10 years and was a goalie. What I saw last night was a team that was unprepared, making passes that were off target all the time. They also had defense that hesitated and acted like it was somebody else's fault almost every time. The mistake by the goalie is something that I just have never seen made. To kick the ground before you kick the ball is crazy. Yeah, I just don't know how that happens at that level of soccer. That's something that, you watch in youth soccer where the goalie comes out and just whiffs on the ball. And I'm sure Matt Freese feels horrible about it. It's just in that moment of that game in this tournament, you can't have that mistake. Jeff asked, were the U.S. players just intimidated by the atmosphere and importance of the moment? Maybe. I mean, that's what it looked like, especially early on. They got punched in the mouth. It's the Mike Tyson quote. Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. How do you react? And the U.S. did punch back, at least for a moment, but the Belgium was the aggressor for most of that game, and the U.S. just didn't have enough answers. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Last call for phones here on the program. We got one more segment with you coming up after this. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelley, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Taking you home on this Tuesday. Final segment. Chasing Big Joe with Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier, and Connor Newt coming up next. I am excited to hear what Dr. Crane has to say. I feel like everybody on this station kind of just does their best to talk soccer without really knowing much, except for Nick Frazier. He knows what he's talking about, so make sure you stay tuned for his reaction.
Unless he was talking about the red card that Flo received.
Oh,
then I disagree.
He thinks it was a red card?
Yes.
Like, oh man, I haven't talked to Nick Frazier clearly enough over the last week.
I mean, I listened to it because he did the show with Connor. I think it was either with Connor or with Big Joe.
He was with Big Joe last week.
And he was basically defending.
Oh, so you know what it was? I didn't get to listen on Thursday because I went straight to the airport. So I missed that. Yeah. So I did not realize.
That caused a stir because Brandon was producing and Brandon and Nick just got into it. And Big Joe was like, hey, y'all go at it. I'm enjoying this. So
I'm excited to hear what Nick Frazier has to say about the way the U.S. played last night. 4-1 loss to Belgium. The World Cup run for the United States is over. The final 2 round of 16 games being played today. Egypt about to go to halftime, still in the lead against Argentina, so could have an upset brewing. The final round of 16 game is Colombia, Switzerland tonight. Quarterfinals get going on Thursday. Before we wrap up, I wanted to go off topic here, Parker. Have you watched any of Love Island this summer?
No, and I don't plan on it.
I agree.
Fill me in on what I missed.
So I didn't know if your wife had gotten you into watching this. I have watched probably. So first off, there are episodes of this show 6 nights out of the week. 6 out of 7 nights. There's an episode.
Are you kidding?
An
New episodes?
Hour-long episode.
Oh my gosh, who has time for that?
I have no idea. Anyway, my wife has been watching it, and I have been subjected to, I think, probably 4 of these 25 episodes. Maybe more than that, maybe 5. I swear they find the dumbest people on the entire world to come on this show. The conversations that these people have, and if there's anybody else out there who's watched this or their wife has had it on and you've listened to it, the conversations they have, it reminds me of like middle school lunch table stuff where it's like, well, she likes me, but I don't know if I like her. And it's like, but these people they're all on there to become like influencers, I guess, which, you know, they're going to build a brand out of it. But it is insane how stupid some of these people are.
Exactly why I don't watch, because I just don't care. But okay, so does your wife keep up with every, like, does she watch every night? The 6 nights out of the week?
No, so like there's some nights where she can't watch it, but she'll like catch up a little bit. Luckily, like the college football video game's out, so I can just be like, hey, how about you go watch that in the bedroom?
I got a dynasty to build.
Yeah, West Virginia is not going to build itself into a national champion. But so she's like on and off. I think she's close to caught up on it now. I have heard the words epitome spoken on this show.
These really are the dumbest people.
Epitome, not epitome. Epitome, and compromise. I'd like to make a compromise with you.
Is this legit?
Yes, I will show you. I will show you the clips after we get off. I have not watched every episode, so there may be more of this going on. But I have heard the words epitome and compromise.
Okay, so we need to continue this conversation tomorrow.
Okay, with Corey
and ask Corey about this and ask what his thoughts are.
There is absolutely zero chance Corey Curtis has watched a second of Love Island.
No, he's definitely not.
See, I used to be into some of the reality TV shows. Like I watched Survivor and Big Brother.
I never really watched. The Kardashians was really big. I never watched any of that really. I was more a sitcom guy.
Yeah, I like the reality competition shows. Ben, I guess Love Island is.
What, American Ninja Warrior? Does that count?
Yeah, it would. I wasn't into that. Like a show that's out now that I actually like, The Traitors. I don't know if you've seen that. I heard it. That one's pretty good. I did. My wife has been watching Summer House. That is the one like trashy reality TV show that I kind of got into. It was a little bit entertaining. But
there is I think it's a spinoff show of Love Island called Temptation Island.
Yes, Dustin Hopkinsville just.
Of course, leave it to Dustin.
So there's Temptation Island, and there's also, is it Too Hot to Handle? Was one of those.
Yeah, they're making a Baywatch TV show too. I think I've been seeing commercials for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad television out there, and Love Island. Apparently, it's like one of the biggest shows on earth right now. Like,
I'm sure. I hear people talk about it all the time.
People are talking about it.
I've not folded. I've not given in to the pressure.
I mean,
I'm staying away from it.
I would never watch the show on my own, of course. But when it's on the background, it's hard not to listen. And like some of these people are just horrible too. Like there's this one guy, and I guess the point is you're supposed to like, they use the word explore your connections with as many people as you can. But there's this one guy who's been with this girl the entire show, and he just keeps, I don't want to use the word cheating on her, but like the equivalent, like just making out with other girls. And she just always like, is like, oh, it's
cheating.
Okay. You can come back. It's God. I had to bring this up.
This is sickening.
Because
this is sickening.
She wanted to watch it before the US game yesterday, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I was working on planning the show for today, and it was just, I was like, all right, I got to bring this up on the show. It is horrible.
It's probably the reason it's so popular. Other people like watching people on national television light their lives on fire.
Yeah, no, that is true. That is true. I saw somebody tweet, and it's like Love Island is basically just one giant humiliation ritual. And I agree with that. Like it is it's a humiliation ritual where these people don't seem to care that they're embarrassing themselves on national television. And we all like to watch it.
I mean, I guess if they're trying to be influencers or whatever, trying to get their name, I don't know, man. I couldn't get into it. See, the reality TV that I'm liking right now is, like, baseball, baseball players.
Yeah.
I mean, when they strike out consistently, that's pretty humiliating for them.
Yeah, that is true. I guess that's what it is this is sports for women, right? Like this is their sports. So. It's like the Love Island is like the NFL season for them.
Right.
Anyway, David in Arkansas says Outlast is a nice competition show on Netflix. I started watching that. It was pretty good. It's kind of like Survivor, but less about challenges and like voting people out, more about like actually living in like one of them's in the Arctic, one's in the jungle.
That sounds interesting. I'd watch that.
That actually, I started watching it. It was.
See, I'm waiting on Reacher season 5 on Prime. It's season 4. I'm sorry, season 4 of Jack Reacher.
Gotcha. I've heard
Alan
that one.
Ritchson.
I've heard that one's
really
good. Bad Castle.
Yes.
Bad Castle.
Yes.
Anyway, just wanted to bring that up. It's I cannot believe that show gets watched 6 times a week by a lot of people, but that wraps it up for us today.
That seems excessive.
It is excessive. It is excessive. Yes, we don't need that much television of anything, except for sports. Big thanks to Kevin Ingram for joining us on the show for the second hour today. If you missed it, he was with us for the full 10 a.m. hour. Check it out on the podcast. Also, make sure to check out the Air Raid with Parker Kelley tonight, 6 o'clock live on 102.5 The Game on YouTube, and also on Parker Kelley's YouTube
subscribe.
channel.
It
subscribe
helps.
At Parker
Let's keep the show free.
10. Make sure you check it out tonight at 6. That does it for us. Corey Curtis in tomorrow at 9 a.m. Chasing Big Joe with Nick Frazier and Connor Newt coming up next. You're on 102.5 The Game.